So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you listen to this. This is Matthew Bailey, and this is another episode of Retrospect Reviews. And in this case, this is a special one here because we gotta talk about the man, boy, the myth, the legend. Some people say he's the greatest movie villain of all time. Darth Vader, man.
The King of Asthma.
And we're gonna talk about
social distancer with mask hunting.
you know. I love how Star Wars kind of worked it in with the Star Wars Day. By the way, with the whole social distancing, wear your mask and they show Darth Vader's mask, stuff like that. I think that's what they did. But that was really funny. And then they had the lightsaber like, hey, practice social distancing. So yeah, I see what y'all did. Episode 3 will be celebrating its 15th anniversary on the 19th of this month, and Empire Strikes Back will be celebrating 40 years.
Wow.
On the 21st.
Woo!
Yes.
That is brilliant.
But in this case here, guys, there's tons of videos about Empire Strikes Back, right? You could just Google that stuff, you could go on YouTube. But in this case here, we will just talk about Revenge of the Sith. I think this is one that a lot of people just kind of saw and just say, oh, well, it's the best of the prequel trilogy by default, so whatever, right? And they just kind of ignore that, and now they're kind of arguing about, the J.J. Abrams / Ryan Johnson stuff that we got, last decade, right? But in this case here, folks, with this episode, we'll talk about Revenge of the Sith. I think there is a lot that, people probably forgot or people didn't pick up on. And why, I hope some of you guys agree with me, regard it to be, one of the best Star Wars movies out there. You hate it or love it. So, yes, because we're working with a big cast here, so let me just introduce people one time. Of course, the one and only Ricardo Medina of Bears Beats and Bailey.
Hello.
Also, we have CC Lilford, who has collaborated with us before on our, Star Wars reviews, ever since the podcast begun. So, shout out. Sommerleigh Pollonais of Movie Junkie for Life.
Bonjour.
Julien Neaves of Red Mango Reviews.
Hi, everybody.
And a newcomer to this program here, Tracy Hutchings.
Hello.
Yes, man. Well, welcome into the fold. This is what we do ever so often. We just meet and just talk about old films, right? And just to jump into
one of us.
We should talk about freaks one of these days, I can't find that not a lot of people really know about the movie or know how big a deal it is, right? Because that movie was banned, right? I watch it now, I was like, wait, they banned this? But anyway, so I don't want to spend too much time into, when I was 6 years old, this is when I first saw this, right? Because, it's Star Wars, right? It's part of, pop culture. It's part of geek culture. It's part of our lives. We'll never forget the first time that we saw the first Star Wars movie as in episode 4. In my case, that would be in the 90s on a little station called ABM Channel 4 and 16. That's where I first saw that. But as far as Empire Strikes Back, just to begin, I actually saw this back in 97 when, for some reason, there were the re-releases of the original trilogy. Yes, and I remember that being a big deal. So I told myself, okay, well, I saw the first one on TV. I never saw Empire Strikes Back. Let me go and see that. And that's why I saw it. And over the years, I just watch it more and more. And now it's one of my all-time favorite movies. As far as Revenge of the Sith goes, I was there back in 2005. I sat in that cinema, opening weekend, watched it with my friends. We were blown away by everything. We laughed at certain points. Yes, laughed. When I say laugh, I mean with the dialogue, because yes, that has always been like the Achilles heel of the prequel trilogy. And I don't know. I guess that's mainly because of George Lucas's writing, but we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, I remember watching that. I never forgot how I felt with certain moments. Most importantly, seeing the birth of Darth Vader right in front of my eyes, and that was just mind blowing. And last thing I just want to say though, before we get to the rest of you guys, the real reason why I needed to see this is, well, it was the first PG-13 Star Wars movie. And that was a big deal. And then, well, since then, every other Star Wars movie from that point has been PG-13. But yeah, at this point, when I went in, I told myself, okay, this is going to be dark. This is going to be not nightmarish, but this is going to get under my skin. And this is where we see Darth Vader Anakin Skywalker become Darth Vader for the first time. And yeah, I would say it truly capitalize on that PG-13 rating, and having watched it again, it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? It just still works. But before we get to all that, I just want you guys to just share your individual histories with both shows quickly. Ricardo, what's your history with Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, for me, Empire Strikes Back is I remember seeing it for the first time on Cinemax. You know, I saw it a lot later than most people, and I remember liking it a lot, not loving it, but it is one of those things. Again, the problem with Star Wars is just sheer cultural osmosis make it like it. And I remember my mom absolutely loving it and thinking it's the best thing ever. I'm like, well, if she thinks it's awesome, it must be awesome, and it's awesome. But you know, I have issues with it and little pacing problems here or there. But yeah, great film. Love it for what it is. And yeah, it has some great moments in it because yeah, I mean, it have a big reveal that is like, holy shit, I can't believe that was a reveal. Like, but that truly caught me off guard. I didn't know that was a thing. Even before seeing the film. So it was like, all right, great. Yeah, this was like when I was like, I don't know, I'd be like 10 at the time or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So that is Empire Strikes Back for me.
All right. And what about Revenge of the Sith?
Right. So I saw that in theaters and I was disappointed with it. Like all the other prequels. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Here's the problem with that. I consider it the best of the prequel trilogy and it's the one I like the least for a real simple reason. Jenny Tartakovsky. Yeah.
I see. Because of the bar that was set with the Clone Wars series,
exactly.
right?
He to me like show exactly what you should do with Star Wars. So when we got back to, you know, George Lucas is like, ugh, what's this? You know, kind of.
I hear. Mm-hmm.
So I always felt about that. Like, yeah, I still in the camp that believe that Jenny Tartakovsky should have did the new sequel trilogy, in my opinion. If it is up to me.
Yeah. Tracy, what's your quick history with Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith?
Well, first of all, I kind of was like, yes, because I got introduced to Star Wars through AVM as well.
Okay.
I remember, because I was born in 1981, so I missed the 70-something and the 80-something start to it. But I do remember Revenge of the Sith coming out. I remember because there was a Pepsi promotion, I think, that was going on at the time. And even though it was like 2005 and I started working, I wanted to get my hands on all the little junk that was going on with that. You know how Pepsi and KFC and all of them always have something.
Yes.
So that was a thing. The older I get, the more I look at Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back, and I feel like I see something new that makes me say, okay, well, maybe, you know, certain decisions weren't as ridiculous as I initially thought it was, even up to this morning, but we'll talk about that later. But I'm very much in the camp of Empire Strikes Back as the top sequel that has ever come out, especially in that particular franchise. And as for Revenge of the Sith, I quite like it. I like it a little bit more as every other day, but yeah, it's a vibes flick for me.
Right. Okay. Summer, history with Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith.
Empire Strikes Back, definitely saw it as a kid, but I can't remember like how young I was when I saw it. And yeah, it was one of those things that no matter how many times you rewatched it, it was always fantastic. It was always awesome. And I had a huge crush on Han Solo. So it worked for me on that level. But
I mean, it's young Harrison Ford. I mean,
yeah. I love all Harrison Ford, by the way. Harrison Ford is one of those men who just get better with age for me. But
did you enjoy Call of the Wild, by the way?
I refuse to watch that. I'm sorry.
I've skipped that as well. But
yeah, it had a little bit of everything, and then of course as a young girl, I mean, Princess Leia was one of those few female characters that actually had power, and she was smart, and she was funny, and so I love all of that. As for Revenge of the Sith, I did see that in cinema, and I do remember watching it in cinema and thinking, well, at least this is the best of these three that we've seen, because I had been disappointed with what came before. Rewatching it, I think it's a very good movie in terms of those three films, and in terms of when I first saw it, to me it was just okay. This is the best of these three, But I'm with Tracy in that in rewatching it, there's a lot of stuff there that I absolutely think they did perfectly. Um, and even though the writing is not that strong in some places, the emotion is there definitely. Watching Anakin become Vader, watching all the mistakes being made, not just by him, but the others around him that is basically forming his decision to choose the dark side. I think seeing it as an adult with less prejudiced eyes, I definitely like it a lot more than I initially did.
All right. Julian, history with Empire and Revenge.
With Empire, I think I was about 7 or 8. I actually am surprised. I saw Empire before A New Hope, and we had it on a Betamax cassette. And I just thought,
What? Respect, respect.
yeah, that's what it's about. And I liked it so much. I remember watching it, I think 5 days straight. I kept every time I came home from school, I was watching. I really loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, and then afterwards, same AVM, I ended up watching then A New Hope and seeing the whole trilogy as well to becoming hooked. And then when in terms of Revenge of the Sith, I was actually studying in Jamaica at the time when it came out, and I went by myself. Nobody else wanted to go, and I mean I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. Some of the story wasn't strong, and some of the dialogue was a little off, but I was entertained. And like Tracy and Summer, the more I watched it, the more I got out of it. And I really loved it. Has some of the most iconic scenes and scenery of the entire franchise. And I
Yeah.
actually, it's one of my higher ups when it comes to Star Wars movies. So I'm a defender of Revenge of the Sith.
All right, all right. So at least I thought I was the only one. Last but not least, Claude, history,
All right.
Empire, Revenge.
So, when I first saw Empire, I remember this. I was 8. My family, we were living as expatriates at the time in Uganda, of all places.
Right.
And I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't see it on TV. I was just this little kid with like this love of the fantastic, and I was like as someone older who had the original trilogy on DVD,
Mm-hmm.
and I got loaned the trilogy, and I liked New Hope. But then I watched Empire, and I remember being this kid and just having this sense that I was watching something that I had never seen before, right? Like as far as movies go, I had never. This was an experience. There was a depth, there was a darkness, there was a spirituality to it that I wasn't used to expecting from like blockbusters, especially, or even movies. This was one of the movies that definitely led me to be more interested in filmmaking as opposed to just like writing like novel type stuff. But no, and I remember that experience clearly. Revenge of the Sith was actually similar because we were still living there at the time because I burned through the original trilogy and I desperately wanted more Star Wars, but we didn't have access to the prequels. But a friend of ours had the Revenge of the Sith bootlegged onto a DVD with badly translated English subtitles that you could turn off. But
Wow.
So I watched it, and I had never seen the rest of the prequels. I had never seen the Genndy Tartakovsky series. I had only seen the original trilogy, and I had also, for Christmas, I think, I had gotten that visual dictionary. I don't know if anyone else remembers those, like the Revenge of the Sith visual dictionary with all the cool pictures and everything. And it was a bit weird because I think it was one of the earliest PG-13 movies I ever saw.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was one of the first, and I remember having this sense that I was watching something like really dark and really like older and really like a little more on the risky kind of violent side than a lot of the other stuff I was watching at the time. And having this sense of like, and I remember having this because I was a very classically educated kid, but I remember having this sense that I was watching a tragedy, and I realized I'd never like because like you don't often see tragedies in blockbusters. I think the closest we've gotten is something like Infinity War.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
but I remember like you get like because like Revenge of the Sith, you get to like the halfway point, right? And it turns super dark, and then the rest of the movie is just watching Anakin's killing spree, and the score gets really operatic. You're watching all the Jedi die, and then I'm just this like 8-9-year-old, and I'm watching this, and I'm just having this sense that this is very different. It's hilarious because it set the bar for the prequels pretty high, and then I finally watched 1 and 2, and I was like, oh, because. But yeah, no. So I have Revenge of the Sith is still one of my favorite Star Wars films. I love the kind of like the gothic aspect of it, the tragedy. It has a very strong visual power. It's a striking movie. It's one I come back to again and again and again. It's still one of my favorite Star Wars films, and I feel like there's a reason that like the sequel trilogy keeps coming back to certain imagery from Revenge of the Sith in particular. Like Mustafar keeps coming back because it has this lasting impact on the whole series. So yeah, no, I'm big fan of Empire, probably one of my favorite films of all time. Revenge of the Sith also has a spot on that list, and it is one that I feel very important to me. Yeah.
All right. So without wasting any time, and I'm gonna shock you here, Claude in particular, but here this is the one that I actually call the license to kill of the Star Wars franchise.
That's good.
Yeah. It's exactly that. I mean, from the PG-13 rating to other things that I'll get into, right? So, without wasting any time, let's jump into Revenge of the Sith, right? So we get the opening crawling text, and I like how it starts off with the word war, you know what I mean? And essentially it's talking about, well, Count Dooku and his forces attacking the Republic, General Grievous kidnapped Palpatine, Chancellor Palpatine. We saw this at the end, I think it was the final episode there about of Jedi Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember this is where you saw Mace Windu actually did the move where he broke, I think it was a rib or something, so like in Grievous, well, his mechanical rib or something like that. And that's why in this movie here he's always coughing and he can't breathe properly, right? But anyway, so essentially Obi-Wan and Anakin are set out to rescue him, right? From the word go, I love the opening shot for this. I love the music.
Oh my god,
It is just amazing. That boom,
like
boom,
the
boom,
entire
boom,
first
boom, and then the music
20
kicks in.
minutes of this is just amazing.
Yeah, I got chills. I got chills when I hear that music, and then the with the ships flying and all that kind of stuff, and just the depth of everything. You're just seeing the planet below, and you're just seeing all these starships and all this lasers, all that kind of stuff. It's just such a gorgeous scene, and I mean John Williams' music. I'll talk about him, but yeah, his score was just phenomenal for this.
Oh, completely.
Yeah. Yes, someone you were saying?
No, yeah.
Just saying, to me, the entire first, like the opening of this, it almost seemed like, okay, we got so much wrong with the first two, we're gonna fix that in just the first 20 minutes of this film. I feel like it's one of the best openings I would like equate this with that first reveal of the the destroyer that you get in Star Wars. I think that opening, just that just setting the tone for everything. Yeah, it's so much happening. Even when they board from the lightsaber battle, when they enter Palpatine's office, so to speak, and you can even still see the battle going on the outside. Everything is just so cohesive. And it looks so well. It's just that opening sequence alone, I was sucked in.
Yeah. And I mean, props to, the visual team behind this VFX team, because they just outdid itself with this movie here. Although there are still some moments which we'll get into where you could tell that yes, actors are in front of a green screen and they don't act like if they are in the places where they're supposed to be, unfortunately, but it just kind of chalked up to direction, right? But whatever.
So I think
sorry?
going off that, one of the things that makes that opening work so well, right? One of the things that makes that opening work so well is so much of it is completely CG. So you don't have the problem of the actors in front of green screen so much. Because like some of the best shots in that opening are when it's just the space battle, right?
Yeah.
Like those, like that whole opening shot where they're flying through all that chaos. Most of that is completely CG, so you don't have the problem of trying to awkwardly integrate actors into it. That's one of the reasons I think that
like
works so well.
Like that one scene that I remember George Lucas had to add in Attack of the Clones with Padme and I forget who else. The one where they were in the factory.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
The video game.
Yeah, the video game sequence basically where they were in some kind of factory and they tried to avoid being crushed. It just didn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah, that one. But yeah, if there was one thing that I just didn't really like about the prequel trilogy, and it shows up here, is the kind of cartoonish voices that they give the droids. So you always have like, the Roger. They have the ones that sound like gremlins that were trying to destroy trying to mess up R2D2 and Anakin and Anakin's ship, those little things. Like I know Lucas kind of wanted them, to sell toys, right? But still, it was just like, okay, this is PG-13. You're bringing it to the PG lane now, with all these characters going Roger, you know what I mean? It just don't make any sense. Then we're introduced to General Grievous, and I don't know, that's just me coming off from Clone Wars and seeing him in this quote-unquote live-action movie. I was like, what? Like, I just love the design of him. Like, it was just seeing this cartoon character come to life. And I don't know, I just love just hearing him walk around in this coffin and hacking and stuff like that. It's just so hilarious.
This is one of the big reasons I hate him in this. I hate this film.
Oh, okay, so you prefer cartoon Grievous over this one?
Hello. Just go back and watch the introduction of that character and how badass that was, and then to get this.
I know. They kind of didn't swim all that well in this one. They didn't give him that much, time to shine, except like one moment. But when he was there, right? One thing though, I like seeing how Obi-Wan and Anakin work together. They do have this brother thing, and as Obi-Wan will bring up, you were like my brother, you know what I mean? And I was thinking about it. Is this like a master student thing, like in part 2? But in this case, it's more like a brother thing because they kind of throwing quips at each other, that kind of thing.
That's when I say how excellent this opening, and to me they managed to fix that for us, in the sense that you do get the feeling time has passed. These people have developed this familial bond, this love for each other. Just from that opening battle, we get to see, yes, Anakin is this badass pilot that everybody says he is. You see the respect, you see the love, and I just think they did it so well without having to go through a bunch of exposition,
I'm pretty much on the balance between those two, for want of a better way of putting it, because you can see Anakin is fly by the seat of your pants. He is very much, I will think about this when I think about it. I know what I'm going to do, but Anakin Obi-Wan is still very measured, and even though he's very measured and still has that kind of stoic sensibility, they still work pretty damn well together in order to achieve their goals, and I quite dug that in this one.
And actually close they had a kind of soap opera relationship where Anakin
that is true. That's true.
He's like, Anakin, stop doing nonsense. What's wrong? And it was just whole time.
Yeah.
So this was just refreshing, the kind of fun playing of each other. Like, this is what we did from since part 2.
Yeah. Even R2D2 gets a time to shine too. The man like straight up murks 2 droids, or like he sprays oil in them, and then he uses his thrusters to just ignite the oil, and it's like, well, what? Okay, we in PG-13 mode. Go on, continue. Yeah.
But I will say they never explain what happened to his thrusters between episode 3 and episode 4, because he never does. It's like, could we have gotten just a line or something to say, oh, well, he burnt out his thrusters, he can't use it again.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah, probably. Right. So when Palpatine is finally introduced, I like the little bit of foreshadowing that they do, right? Because he's seated, but in this case, he's tied by his wrist, right? But he's facing at the window. It's very reminiscent of like Vader and the Emperor Palpatine / Lord Sidious moments where he's always like looking out, through the window at what's going on. So very, very foreshadowing, right? And it's one of those things like when back then, like I knew that yes, Chancellor Palpatine was Lord Sidious, right? But the way how this particular movie moved, it was just like, okay, so in case you didn't know, let me just let it play out. This let it play out. We're not gonna just throw a set of like clues at you, but let me just see how the evolution takes place. But you know in the back of your mind, yeah, he is the guy running things, right? Yeah, Count Dooku shows up, played by the late great Christopher Lee. We get a really cool lightsaber fight. I really dig it. It's actually a lot better in retrospect to like what we got with the last one against Count Dooku. Basically, this is where Anakin got his arm chopped off, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
There's a little moment that I noticed too, and this is where Palpatine says "get," and this is right around the moment where Dooku's goons are about to take down Obi-Wan. This is almost like, okay, get rid of him, but leave Anakin to do his thing. It's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing there, Lucas. I see what you're doing there.
Which like he picks up that later, because literally only a little later in that very scene when they're escaping, right? Palpatine keeps saying Anakin they should leave Obi-Wan. He clearly wants Obi-Wan out of the picture.
Yes,
it's very intentional. I love that.
Yeah. But before that, though, I love Count Dooku's death. I love how just samurai it all is, though, with the two lightsabers
and the
over his
sound
head.
of the two lightsabers rubbing against each other. It's almost
Yes.
like nails on a chalkboard. It works so well.
And that is like the most brutal death in probably the entire front. That is dark.
Yes, that is dark.
I was like, imagine a little kid watching that and you're like, what the hell?
I was. I was the kid. I looked away.
For real. Now, I but I'll throw this out though. The betrayal on Dooku's, the look on Dooku's face, the look of betrayal, because you know that we know that it's only really meant to be two, because of all the war and everything. It's only two Sith, the rule of two. Yeah. But at the same point in time, Dooku was, because like a joker like me, I go and I read all the ridiculous books and all the stuff. Dooku was Qui-Gon's master, and he turned because he thought that there was a better way under Lord Sidious. So now he's there. Because he really couldn't handle some of the crap, like all of them. They can't handle the crap with the Jedi at times. But so he turns and instead of, even in that moment, instead of giving up who he is or anything like that, he just turns and looks at Palpatine, and Palpatine is like, kill him now.
Yeah, and that's like he has to die. He can't allow him to live.
That for me, that expression on his face for me is one of those things that's burned in the back of my brain.
Nah, it's a great moment. It's a really great moment.
It is.
I like afterwards where Anakin says it's not the Jedi way, but Palpatine says it's only natural. He cut off your arm and you want revenge. It's like, wow, boy, okay, this is where we are. Okay. But then it's the next line that really struck me. This is where he says, it wasn't the first time. Remember what you told me about your mother and the Sand people. I'm like, Palpatine, this man real smart, and like how he was just able to manipulate Anakin with nearly every step he took. You know
Not just Anakin, but everyone. It's just he's like a maestro in this entire thing.
Yeah. Also, well, right. That's a good term there. Yeah, he is.
Also, ridiculous little detail, but did anyone else, I only caught this because I watch movies with subtitles, but did anyone else notice that after he says, do you remember what you told me about your mother and the Sand people? There's a kind of an echoey, ghosty noise of like sand people and like a lightsaber noise.
Yeah, I put it. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Which I love that so much. Oh, it's just it's like this little memory in Anakin's mind.
Yeah, because it's haunting him, you know? Yes.
Yeah.
It's still fresh even after all this time.
Yeah. And about the Sand people, I'm gonna bring up why a particular moment in the film that kind of shocked people makes sense given what happened. Anakin's response to the whole massacre of the Sand people from Episode 2. Anywho, right? So eventually, Palpatine, Anakin, and Obi-Wan escape. Grievous makes his way out of the ship temporarily and then goes back into this escape pod and flees. Escape. Anakin does his thing. He brings down, well, it's now half of a ship, so he brings it down to this runway, basically, in the, the capital of the Republic. I thought that was like a really cool moment. And then everybody comes out and like, yeah, the chancellor is safe, blah, 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 right? And then later on, when everybody kind of moves off, well, you do see Jar Jar Binks there. And I was like, it was kind of funny that he was just there in the sidelines. And then this one guy was like, watch it, you know what I mean? And that was like the only thing, that was like the only phrase said to Jar Jar. He was just there in the background, just like George Lucas was like, okay guys, I get it, you don't like him, I know, okay, fine, all right, cool, move on. So Ramo said earlier about actors clearly acting in green screen, in front of green screen. Yeah, you get that here basically with Mr. Hayden Christensen, who plays Anakin, of course, and McGill, Oscar winner, and I'll bring up the whole Oscar thing in a bit, right? Natalie Portman, who plays Padme, because yes, they do meet up, and it's all in secret, because she doesn't want anybody to know that not only is she with Anakin, but she's pregnant. You know what I mean?
They can't let anybody know they're breaking Jedi rule as well.
Exactly. Because I remember that being a thing remember that coming up in in episode 2, and I always thought it was dumb, but it was part of like the tagline to market the film, like a Jedi must not a Jedi must not fall in love or doesn't know love or some kind of thing or whatever it was. I don't know the actual word for it, but I just remember always seeing that in the marketing for this and for episode 2. I thought it was just stupid. But then when you see
something about attachments,
it's like okay, all right.
Attachments are for or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't have attachment.
Right.
Can we applaud how far they came in terms of how natural they felt as a couple by this point?
Thank you.
Yeah, compared to episode 2, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
These two people, they get so much hate, especially poor Hayden Christensen, and he has proven in this movie to me. He proved I can act. It's just that the direction and the dialogue was so terrible prior to this, and getting into that rhythm. How are you supposed to make this song loving and sexy when we're talking about sand and all kind of dumbass stuff like that?
It's coarse and it gets everywhere.
Yeah, here to me, just in that opening, that moment with the two of them, I could feel the chemistry. It felt natural,
I'm haunted by the kiss that you never should have given me.
Oh my God.
Episode 2's version of Anakin is You. That Netflix series You. That is how I kind of because he's just there and he's just touching you, and this is creepy. Damn it, man! What's wrong with you?
Seriously, Padme should have gone running for the kill from that dude.
Yeah. So the next scene we have now, we go back to Grievous, and I don't know. I mean, say what you want about how he was treated in the movie, but the man had some great entrance music to this. Something about the music, there's something so over the top and theatrical about it. I just love that moment, and just him walking and hacking and coughing again, right? But it's kind of funny when you look at it now that he did pick up on the fact that Palpatine is Lord Sidious. Because he goes and talks to Lord Sidious. It's like, wait, so you did pick up on the fact that the guy that you kidnapped have the same voice as Sidious?
Well,
but maybe to the show's defense, sorry for cutting you there. Maybe Palpatine kept his mouth shut because there was a moment before, before Anakin and Obi-Wan escape, where you saw Palpatine pretty much was quiet. He didn't say anything. When he was in Grievous's presence there. It's like, okay, maybe he just kept quiet, maybe, I don't know.
It's that hood. It's like that hood is like Clark Kent's glasses. Like
this is what I think.
No one can tell.
This is what I think.
Come on, man. Like to just have a specific but I mean to just have a specific voice. Yeah, I mean
but the thing is to the Clark Kent thought process there, it really is. It's more. Now that I think about it, it's more like Kevin Conroy's Batman, because when Bruce when Bruce is talking, like Bruce is at a party, Bruce's voice is very light and
Yes,
very.
yeah.
When he's Batman, you know what's going. So when you see Chancellor Palpatine, he's very bourgeois. He has that kind of very. We'll be looking at with a lot of interest at your career. He has that tone. But when he starts to become, when he's serious and he's talking to you, you understand the
Yeah, it's
Jedi.
a lot more. Yes.
Yeah, it's more exaggerated. I would agree.
Very lost.
Yeah. So back to Padme and back to Padme and Anakin, boy. So you know what I mean? Like, yes. Right. So they see with them in the bed. Well, sorry, before they go to bed, sorry. And this
Balcony.
is what Anakin tells her is like, you know, it's how beautiful you are. You know what I mean? That moment is just like,
Here
like
we
I
like,
once
you
again, this is
almost worry we're back. We're back.
yeah, like we're back to
You
like
almost
episode
worry.
2 territory again. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like I always kind of watch it like, okay, like Hayden is given his all. He is, admittedly,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
just what he's given. So if
Yeah.
and well, that's the thing now with Joe Lucas's writing that I've noticed, especially with the prequel trilogy. You have to have characters literally say what's on their minds, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're so
Yeah.
beautiful."
Mhm.
It's like it's Natalie
But
Portman.
can I
Come on,
say
bro.
on the, yeah, as I say, I mean I love Revenge of the Sith, but I will say that in terms of the character of Padme, the real Jane Foster thought the Dark World her.
Yeah.
You're right too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys referring to what the damsel in distress kind of thing that she just exists
Yeah.
to be the
But
She
love and
doesn't
she,
she doesn't do anything. She has
yeah,
yeah.
they do dumb down the character compared to how much more active she was prior to this. She's just here as, oh, I'm so in love, and I'm pregnant, and that's about it.
Look how pregnant I am, everyone.
yes, look at me. Oh, I'm so happy. You don't see the morning sickness though, but that's all right. Anyway, can Star Wars,
There's
right?
no
Star.
morning sickness in space.
They're using the
No
Uh,
force.
bras.
there's
Right.
no bras, there's no underwear, there's no
No
morning
morning.
sickness.
That's probably true though. That's probably true.
No, I was just going to say, in terms of Padme, my whole thing with her is once you stop being the queen, we didn't get to see what her other duty. We know that okay, so she's no longer a queen, but she's big in the Senate. But we don't get to see any more of like her power and her
Yeah, we
prowess
don't get a sense of her power
and
in this at all.
any of that. She's just there. I wouldn't go as far as Jean, but I was like, yeah, it really does leave some to be desired.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Right. So Annie, no. Okay, I'm not gonna call him Annie from this point. That's what Padme calls him. So we call him Anakin, right? Sorry about that. But anyway, so Anakin
That's her.
has
That's her.
yeah, right. So Anakin has a premonition now, basically with Padme. Well, it's hinted that she will die at childbirth, but it's just seeing her in absolute pain, right? So he,
That.
which you'll get to, right?
Well, like
Um,
that nightmare scene. Because I remember, because like we don't get to see Anakin's premonitions in Attack of the Clones. He tells us that he's having nightmares about his mom dying at the hands of Sand People. We don't
right.
see it. This film, we get this nice, lovely scene. They're on the balcony. It's cute. They're whatever. And then we cut to this like nightmare sequence where she's pleading for help and dying, and there's a baby crying, and then he like, and the music is tense, and then he like wakes up, and I'm like, "Ooh."
Yeah. I don't know why. Well, when I saw that, I was just thinking, it just reminded me a bit of Neo in Matrix Reloaded.
Oh
His
wow.
dilemma. Yeah. I know
Mhm.
it's just kind of odd that just compare the two, right? But anyway, so of course Anakin takes us to Yoda, and I know I just kind of like the setup of the room that Yoda's in with the Venetian blinds and stuff. It has this kind of Godfather feel to it. Like, okay, you're coming to
Yeah.
me for a favor. I'm gonna give you this advice here. You know what I mean? This is for the family. It have that kind of vibe there. But Yoda's just doing that Yoda thing. I love what he says. The fear of loss is a part of the dark side and all
But
that
this
stuff.
is where I feel like, now I've always been pro Dark Jedi, not Sith, but Dark Jedi, because this is where I feel like we see the beginning of we see, not maybe the beginning, but we see the ending of why the Jedi are failing Anakin, because it's a bunch
Mm.
of nonsense. His advice is basically suck it up, you know. Like,
Are you sad?
But
Don't be sad.
Clearly, you're a fan of Last
I'm
Jedi.
coming to you with
Train
my
yourself
fears.
to
I'm coming to
go.
you with my fears. You are my supposed to be one of my mentors. And you're
Mm.
basically like, listen, this is the kind of stuff you gotta deal with, get over it, kind of thing.
Tell us
You're
like
not
what? Let
helping
go,
me. You're
move
not
on. If she
helping
have
me.
to die, she will die. That's what you
Yeah.
tell her. That's what you told her.
Like he
Yeah.
literally,
That's
he
not what I want to
literally,
hear. That's
Yeah.
not
he
that's not what
literally.
anybody wants to hear
Yeah.
about a loved one. Why would we have access to this power if we can't maybe do something to help? And this is where Palpatine now can step in and say, buddy, I have a solution.
Oh,
But
definitely.
it does continue the trend because remember in Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan was very unhelpful. You say, well, I was having these dreams of our mother. He's like, yeah,
Yes.
no, it's just dreams. Whatever.
Yes.
Study it.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
Force is always in
Run with a
flux.
scroll. Very
Yeah.
unhelpful.
Worst advice ever, Dread.
Literally says, train yourself to let go of everything you
Think
fear
you
to
fear to
lose.
lose.
What the hell?
Did he get that
Yeah.
from a fortune cookie?
Gold.
Really, really bad advice.
I mean, I love you and all, but I mean, come on, man, right? But but
Well,
back to Anakin now, right? So Palpatine calls him now, and he appoints him to be the personal representative on the Jedi Council. So basically, it's gonna be a Stitch. That's essentially what he's gonna be. Just gonna what they discuss in the Jedi Council, he's gonna feed back to Palpatine. But the council is aware of that too, so they're like, well, okay, you're gonna Stitch for us because you're closer to Palpatine. So now he's this double agent now.
Yeah, but again, we get into that's a very non-Jedi thing to ask me to do.
I know, right?
You guys are supposed to be above all of this, and you're like, oh, so here what? Oh, so you have his ear, so here's what we're gonna need you to spy on him for us, And so you have Anakin, and I don't blame him. It's like this is not the kind of stuff you all teach me to do. It's like like if I
Exactly.
join the priesthood and you're telling me, okay, so you're a priest, but listen, when people come to you with confession during lunch hour, you're gonna come and tell us everything they said. Like,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be above all this,
Yeah, you're right.
I kind of get, I don't know. I'm not too big on the Jedi way of doing things.
Mm.
Oh,
No,
no.
I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, right. So they receive word that Grievous is hiding in some particular area, but close by is where the Wookiees reside, right? So they are prepared for war as well. So the idea is that Yoda has to go there because he knows someone. He knows someone in the Wookiee clan who just happens to be with boy, the one, the only, Chewbacca. Rest in peace to Peter Mayhew. So that happens later on, right? There's a moment that I kind of forgot happened in the film. No, it's a little conversation between Padme and Anakin. I'll just run through it quick, basically. But this is where I remember the late great Roger Ebert kind of bringing this up. How kind of political this movie is, though, because Padme is all like, democracy is non-existent. So the Republic is like the evil that they've been trying to destroy, and Anakin doesn't believe that. He accuses Padme of being, sounding sorry, like a separatist. She believes that the war must end and diplomacy must resume. And when she pretty much begs Anakin to demand the end of the war, he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Because he just believes that Grievous must be wiped out. He must be stamped out. And then, the Empire will be, sorry, not the Empire yet, sorry. The universe will be safe and all that kind of stuff. So you see that little political stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't know if it's intentional, if this is Lucas kind of talking about the war on terror. I don't know, but it's easy to kind of
It
interpret
would
that
not
moment
surprise
as this
me.
is what it's about. Yeah.
I mean, stormtroopers are basically Nazis in space. I wouldn't doubt if he was, actively doing that.
Yeah, but really with the character of Palpatine himself, because they mention, well, I think it's Mace or one of them, Mace Windu mentions that he's been chancellor for like a lot of years. Like he has refused to step down. You know what I mean? So is it that he's using this war as a ruse to remain in power?
Right.
Think about it. Right.
But in a kind of in the present reality that we're in, let's use COVID and Star Wars. In this reality that we're in right now, right? We have a situation where, let's say, in somebody's election, you want to protect your citizenry, and you're not going to have too many people at the polls, and they decide to postpone elections until later on for the good of the people. There's a lot of people, I feel, who will be like, yes, that makes sense, that is the right thing to do for health and safety. Let's postpone the elections for another year or another 2 years or something until we could have a handle on COVID. And I feel that that's in my brain, that's where Palpatine dwelt. Palpatine was like, yes, he has had more terms and has been in power longer, but it is for a necessary reason. I'm not holding on to power to be
Yeah.
power hungry and evil. I'm holding on to power because it's necessary, so that once it's good and everything is back in a gear, I will relinquish power. We all know that's not going to happen, but that discussion that thing sort of plays up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
because
Which is some deep politics that you don't get in Star Wars.
That's true.
yeah, no,
No.
Yes,
well,
yes.
it was also like much like how the original trilogy was a lot of Vietnam War critique stuff. This one was Iraq War critique stuff, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
would say though, this close up for the whole politics thing. This is why I'm glad that this movie have a PG-13 rating, because with the two prior prequels, it was just like, okay, we're gonna stop all this fun PG stuff, and we're gonna talk Senate stuff, and we're gonna talk Jedi Council stuff. So you as a kid watching this thing, you're like, okay, well, what does this have to do with anything? You know what I mean? Like, but with the PG-13 stuff, I was like, okay, now I have to be kind of attentive as to what's going on. And when you see
Right.
stuff behind the scenes, like, oh, okay, that's what they're going for. Okay, right. So I love the next part here where you get this sort of weird opera setting, and it's the conversation
Oh,
scene
God, I love
yeah.
that.
between Anakin and Palpatine. Love the scene. I love the music fit. This sort of
It's so
drone
good.
electronic
It's
music that they use here
yeah,
at
yeah.
school. And this is where Palpatine dropped the story of that Plagueis the Wise Way. And it's such a great story. Where it's like, he had the power to pretty much create life. So he could, not so
It,
much revive people from the dead, but he could ensure that they're not dead, that they won't die, you know what I mean? So it's kind of
it's a
ironic though that he taught
fantastic
this stuff
scene
to his
because
what?
it's almost like the villain telling you his plan without telling you his plan.
Yes,
Palpatine is
yes.
just
It's so
he's a
good.
virtuoso at playing on exactly what you need to hear to get you to that next step. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
brilliant. It's the music is brilliant, the scene is brilliant. It's absolutely one of the best scenes in the entire franchise.
It
Yeah.
is.
Agreed.
And it's
In
so
terms of visuals,
uh-huh.
it is one of the most alien scenes we've ever seen in the franchise. When
Yes,
you
Yeah,
see
with
yes.
the sort of
those weird alien
purple,
dancers and
well,
stuff.
the
We've
purple
never
kind
seen
of
anything like that.
Is
Fish
it
people
bubbles?
thing.
bubbles, yes, sort of
Bubbles,
bubbly kind of
fishy,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently, it's actually aliens who in those things moving around when you read the background on it, who are
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
performing. Yes.
I like that the movie doesn't stop to kind of tell you, oh, this is really what's going on. It's just a mood being set, a weird image, and it just works. It just fits, right?
It
But I
does.
love the irony with the story where it's like, well, he taught this to his disciple,
And
who we could easily assume is Palpatine himself.
It is.
right.
That's the
Mhm.
thing
It
about
is,
it.
I know,
That's
but
the
I like how they just
brilliant
kind
thing.
of
He's
leave it a little
telling
open
him his
as
story.
maybe not. Yeah. Right. So afterwards, though, it's like, well, yeah, of course, the student killed him while he slept. That's so, kung fu Shaolin stuff. But it just so fitted it.
Oh, completely.
It is. Um, and I like the line where he says he could save others from death, but not himself.
Himself.
Like just the lines that this man was dropping, though, just brilliant,
It's
right?
And
chilling.
Palpatine
Absolutely
almost licks
chilling.
his lips after he says that. He's like,
Yeah,
Yes,
Ooh.
yes.
yeah. And I love how the scene ends though, because Anakin asks if it's possible to learn that power, right? To save Padme.
From a
And he just
Jedi.
says
Not,
one of the best lines in the movie,
not
not
from a
from a
Jedi.
Jedi. No,
I'm a
sorry.
Jedi.
Not from a Jedi. It's the little pause between not and from. I love that, right? And then we get this big, battle between the Wookiees and the droid army. And you see the Wookiees get all like badasses. There's this one particular one who does the Tarzan yell. I remember seeing that in theaters. I just mine. I
I
was like, where does he come from?
remember
What?
that.
I know Lucas is that guy who draws from old matinee films and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, all right, we do the Tarzan, yeah, okay. But what made the scene great is that, well, you get to see more than one Wookiee for one thing, and
Yeah.
they're in an army. They are attacking. They're doing, army. They do it. They're in
Yeah.
a
An
war
army
right now,
of
A
folks.
little bit
Wookiees.
of trivia here too. They wanted to actually have this battle in Return of the Jedi, I believe, or
Yes.
as well as since A New Hope they had it in works, but I guess they just couldn't pull off something of that scope using practical effects back then. So
Right.
yeah,
Wookiees, squads.
So that's why we ended up with the
Oh
Ewoks.
yeah.
yeah,
You're
we
right,
ended up
Ricardo.
with
Wookiees
Ewoks
is
instead of
Ewoks. Yeah.
Wookiees. You can imagine how
I
epic
hate
it would have
Ewoks.
been if it was Wookiees, and it would have made more sense, but instead we ended up with teddy bears. What you gonna
Yeah.
do?
What I
Yeah.
heard happened with that was Lucas wanted the people the defenders in Return of the Jedi to have a technological disadvantage, but that would have contradicted what we know about Wookiees from Chewbacca. And as we see
Right.
in Revenge of the Sith, they are a technologically advanced species.
Right. Next scene, no, we back to Grievous. He's talking to these separatist leaders. He's telling them, well, the Jedi is coming first, so you all need to hide out. So go to the Mustafar system, and you see Viceroy Gunray, who I remember, I think was either from I think it was from both episode 1 and 2. What do we do? Why do you want us to go there? It's like, this is the safest place you could go, right? So Obi-Wan goes in like a badass, like how when he speaks the first time.
Hello there.
The guy that he meets for the first time, I didn't know that was Bruce Spence, who was in the Road Warrior, one of the best sequels ever. Yeah, and great props to the makeup though. The makeup for that guy though was just impeccable in my opinion, right? I love one thing I love about that scene with Obi-Wan is the sort of reptile creature that he rides. There's something about
Yes.
that. That
Yes.
what?
Cracktail or
I
something.
love that thing.
So
I want one, damn it. I
cool.
want one. But yeah, we get
I
a
think
great little
everyone
chase.
wanted one when we saw that movie.
Listen.
It's cute. Oh, sorry, I just have a thing for reptiles, right? But anyway, so we have this nice little chase going on, and then eventually he confronts Grievous. And one thing though, Obi-Wan cock you like a mofo in the scene though. Like man, like, yeah, come bring it to me. Like the man have no fear, Dre. Like just zero.
None.
Nothing, right? And then, well, of course, going back to Clone Wars, this is where you see Grievous, do the whole forearm stuff with the lightsabers. In retrospect, yes, it's a cool idea of having two of them spin in front, but I'm thinking, all right, that's for blocking and stuff like that, but he kind of stops the spinning to attack, so that's like a good opportunity for,
But I think
Obi-Wan
what I like
to
about it is
strike
the
the.
fact that you have this supposedly technologically advanced creature coming at you with 4 lightsabers, and it just goes to show that it's not the lightsaber that makes a Jedi, it's the Jedi that makes the
Yeah.
lightsaber work, and that's
Like,
what's so brilliant
what
about
made
that
him?
entire fight sequence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's not a Jedi.
No, but this
He's not a
one of-
Jedi. Yeah, he's
Just
not a
like the
Jedi.
weapon.
So it's like, no,
It's
just because you have a lightsaber doesn't mean you're gonna kick
You
my
know how to
ass.
use
Yeah.
as
Ricardo, you
the
saying?
hard way.
what made him cool in the Tartakovsky material was, well, he's not a Jedi. You don't have Jedi powers or not force sensitive, but he can just straight up outspeed every other Jedi and speed blitz them now. Because
Right.
it's take a Jedi powers to kick in, right? It's take like 2 seconds or whatever it is. And I just find that was just so stupid to have him like this in the movie. I was like, what?
Yeah. I will say this much though. Grievous's death scene was kind of straight out of Mortal Kombat though. Like he gets like he has his ribcage open, right? He is shot numerous times in the heart. Well, actually like 3-4 times, right? And then he implodes. And then he burns up Dread. I'm like, that's some
Fire.
Obi-Wan goes full gangster in that scene.
Well, I mean,
With
he's
the
using a
pen.
blaster for one thing though. Like,
I've
what?
never been thrilled with that, that whole Obi-Wan's use of the blaster. I don't know, I never liked him doing that.
What does he say?
Lost his
So
lightsaber.
uncivilized?
though.
Yeah, he says that. So uncivilized.
Yeah, he even at the end has that little quippy comeback. He's like, so uncivilized. Like, oh man, I shot him. I can't believe after all that, I just shot him.
That's so uncivilized lines that go back to when he describes the lightsaber as a weapon for more civilized.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wink,
Mhm.
wink.
It's episode 4. Yeah.
In episode
Yeah.
4. Mhm.
Right. So back to Anakin now. So basically, while all this is going on, he finds out the true identity of Palpatine. He just kind of reveals it in his chambers, right? That yes, he is Lord Sidious. So Anakin is like, "Oh my God! I mean, now I must tell the council." I was like, "I know you will." So he pretty much just tells him, "Yeah, go and tell him, go and tell him," right? So he tells Mies about it. Mies is like, "What? You're serious?" It's like, "Yes." Okay, so I want you to just stay in the Jedi Council chambers. Stay there. We're gonna handle it. So him and like three other Jedi Masters go up to confront Palpatine. I like the scene that follows, right? This great moment of clarity. We get some really haunting music from John Williams, and
Ooh,
you're just seeing
yeah.
both Anakin and Padme in different rooms, just staying at the same sunset, and I love that right now. I just love the tone of it. That's how dark everything is all set up, right? It's kind of funny though that Anakin waits until night to go to Palpatine's place. It's just like you had all this time to think about it. Now you wait till it gets dark to go for him. But anyway, right? That's just a little nitpick. But anyway, I love this
Well,
scene here.
while we're talking about nitpicks, can we talk about how, technically, because what happens is the Jedi hear news that Obi-Wan has killed Grievous, and so Mace takes three Jedi Masters like, okay, let's go make sure that the Chancellor gives up his emergency powers. And then
Yes,
Anakin,
yes.
then on the way there, Anakin's like, hey, he's actually Sidious. And he's like, well, good thing I was heading there with the Masters anyway. I'm like,
Convenient.
So convenient though. So convenient.
Yeah, yeah.
But
so convenient. And I kind of love the implication that they were expecting Sidious to resist and that they would need 4 Jedi in case
yeah,
he did.
But
yeah,
can we
yeah.
talk about how quickly he dispatched these Jedi Masters? I mean,
I
it's
know,
insane.
right?
I
And
am.
It's treason then.
and if I have one gripe with the scene though, even though I love how it starts up with Mace Windu saying, in the name of the Jedi Council, we'll place you under arrest. I remember
And they
when
all
I
pick
saw that for the
up their
first time
lightsabers.
yeah, while they pull out the lightsaber. I remember the first time I saw it in theaters, everybody was like, "Whoa, whoa!" Just making noise. You know what I mean? Just the moment when the purple lightsaber comes, I was like, "Whoa!" Right? But
Woo!
it's how quickly Palpatine just get rid of the first two they get decoded like
First two, yeah.
on
Mhm.
like about the
Yeah.
first 5 seconds they gone, right? Third guy
Oh,
We
try
no.
out
killed
think 1 2 moves and then he get wiped out too. And it's just him against Mister. But the thing is like if
Okay,
you look at the choreography with Palpatine's choreography, it's not as you know strong as like everybody else though. He's just like yeah, you know what I mean? Like you could tell that that the actor has no training as far as
Yeah.
fighting go. He's just
Oh, yeah,
pointing with
no.
this thing like oh
no, but
poke,
it
stab.
yeah, get twist though. Like the underwater guy who have the weird kind of dreadlocks kind of thing. He
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Yeah.
dies.
Oh
What the
yes,
hell?
He's
yeah,
returned. Yeah.
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 So
And he's
I mean
bad underwater.
yeah. So I mean, you're right. You're right. That character from Clone Wars. I mean, I understand. You want to sell the fact that Palpatine is crazy. So he's like, yes. Every time he stabs somebody, he's like, yeah. But it's like, come on, man. You're going up against Jedi Masters, Jedi. And one stab, man, just getting killed. Like, come on, right? But anyway, we do get a decent enough fight scene between
It
Mace
is.
and Palpatine. I love the music that goes with it. Just in the nick of
Samuel
time,
L.
and
Jackson.
Anakin shows up. Well, sorry, before Anakin shows up, though, this is where I love the part where the window, this large window gets smashed,
Oh,
That
and
is good. That is
yeah,
very good.
just I love that to a piece, right? And then you
Yeah.
just see Palpatine, literally on the ground, he crawls to the edge, right? Well, to the ledge of the window,
But
and it's like I forgot what me said
no,
something my
but
lord,
this is
right?
this
He's
is the
too
beauty
powerful
of
to
this
stay
scene.
alive.
This is the beauty of this scene. It's a callback to when Palpatine tells him to kill Dooku. He says the exact same. Palpatine told him he can't be allowed to live. And here's Mace Windu now saying that to Anakin. He can't be allowed to live. So Anakin is like, that is not the Jedi way. And in that moment, it just ties everything back so beautifully
oh
to show
yeah.
you
Yeah,
how
yeah,
the
yeah,
Jedi have failed Anakin. And that's what that's what it blows me away as I watch it as an adult. I didn't pick up on those things, but
The nuances.
they consistently show him that these people that I've decided to follow and follow their faith and follow their beliefs, these people could be just as dark and just
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
somewhat corrupted because they are doing things and they're saying, well, our way is the right way, but really is it? When
Yeah.
you are now standing up with this
Right.
man
Yeah.
and you are telling me, yeah, we have to kill him. You know, it's like
Yeah.
whether he's unarmed or not. And
Yeah.
thereby it's like now I have to question everything that I believed in before this moment and I have to make a decision.
Right. Well, that's one aspect of the show that I love. That it just kind of
Oh, yeah.
plays on. Oh well, who's right in all of this, right?
Right.
The Jedi or the Senate. But before that, dude,
One of-
there's a part where me says, the oppression of the Sith will never return. You have lost, right? And then Palpatine deliver one of my favorite lines. No, you will die. It is so over the top, but just the delivery of this I love, right? And this is where he does the the lightning powers, which was overly exaggerated in the Rise of Skywalker. I don't know how he was able to get their powers. Anyway, I hated that show. Whatever. Moving on. And around that same time where Mace is getting shocked now, this is where Mace tried to deflect the move now, and this is where Palpatine's face gets burnt up, starts get burnt up, sorry, and that's that's when Anakin shows up. Yeah, and this is where Anakin shows up, and he's all like, I'm so weak, help me, I have no powers, help, right? So, and it's Palpatine is just
Slight
such.
aside.
Uh-huh.
Slight aside, but I think one of the reasons I adore this scene is that after 2 movies of kind of, getting to be sidelined, Samuel L. Jackson finally gets the chance to come forward and command a scene, basically.
Yes.
Like, he rocks this entire sequence up until, from the moment he walks in and declares that Palpatine's under arrest, the duel, and then the bit when he kicks Palpatine's lightsaber away and has him at the end of his lightsaber, and then just says, "You are under arrest, my lord."
My lord, that's the line. You're right. That's the line I want to remember. Yeah, you're right. Sure.
Yeah.
The sarcastic, my lord.
Yeah, but it's how Palpatine is all like, "I'm so weak, help me, I can't defend myself," right? And Anakin is like, well, I love the little back and forth but I love where Anakin says, well, dude, the man needs to go to trial. It's like, no, he owns the Senate. He'll be let off scot-free. He has to be killed now. It's like, this is not the Jedi way. And I just love that quick little back and forth. And then, well, Anakin chop off Mace's hand. Sword hand, actually. So the sword falls down. Well, sorry, the lightsaber swords down. And then Palpatine comes in, continues shocking Mace, and then he does the unlimited power. I'm like, wow, Palpatine, wow. You are such a a-hole, Dread. Wow.
But
that sends me flying out.
Yeah, but as Claude mentioned that Samuel L. Jackson finally gets a shine. This movie is Ian McDermott's movie,
It
right?
really is.
It's the best he's been throughout the entire franchise.
It's true. Yes.
Is Return of the Jedi, but he is just a fantastic throughout, from scene to scene. He's just so good.
You really do believe he could pull this off. You really do.
Yeah, you really do. And then, well, of course, Anakin gives his life over to Palpatine. I love the irony behind this following line where he says, "To cheat death is a power only one has achieved. But if we work together, I know we can discover the secret." So Lord Sidious doesn't really know how to bring back how to save Padme. But hey, if we work together, we'll figure it out.
He keeps dangling that hope to him, Yeah, we work together, we can do it,
Yeah.
Classic bait and switch.
That he did not know what to do. No, sorry. He does not know how to do it initially, but Anakin is still like, hey, I'm going to serve you just as long as I could save Padme, right? So, of course, now Sidious calls him Darth Vader. I love how he says that, right? And I love where
that moment gave me chills. It really did.
Oh, yeah.
It does. And then actually they play his theme from Empire Strikes Back. That
Imperial March.
Yes,
Imperial March. So brilliant how they work that into that scene.
Another brilliant edit in this scene that I love is Anakin cuts off Mace's arm, Sidious kills him, and then Anakin has that "what have I done? Sidious, you are fulfilling your destiny."
Yeah.
And then we have a quick cut. Yoda on Kashyyyk feels a disturbance in the Force, and then we're back. And I'm like,
Yeah.
It's one of my
shit just got real there.
and that's actually like, it's a brilliant visual sign that this is the moment in the movie when the shit has hit the fan. This is the moment when this is the point when the movie, from here on out, this movie is going to get dark and it's not going to stop from this point going forward.
You're absolutely
this
right.
is the point.
Right.
And I love it.
Yeah. So Sidious now tells Anakin that every Jedi, every remaining Jedi, is an enemy of the Republic. So he orders him to go to the Jedi Temple, right? Because that's where they will be. Because there's a signal. So the younglings are there, which you'll get to. And then, there's a signal that goes off. So all the remaining Jedi will head across there and, of course, get wiped out, right? And then from that point, Anakin will have to go to the Mustafar system to wipe out all the Separatist leaders. And then he drops one of my favorite lines: "Once more, the Sith will rule the galaxy, and we shall have peace." I just love that last line.
So chilly.
It's just so brilliant. So brilliant.
This is the George W. Bush moment, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Politics, people. Politics. That's what it is. And
Peace
then
will only come, but it'll come only through my hands kind of vibe.
Yeah. And then we get one of my all-time favorite scenes in Star Wars ever. I remember seeing that for the first time in theaters. I was blown away. Okay, heard that music, that dun,
Dun, dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun, dun, dun,
dun,
dun, dun. And this is where you see Anakin and the stormtroopers walk into the Jedi Temple and just go crazy, boy. And just these visuals for this, the top view of them walking in is so frightening. It's just so reminiscent of, Nazis, right? You know what I mean? Just that one shot of them walking, and you get that lighting that gives this sort of a feel of a cross, that kind of vibe. It looks good. And then that one particular youngling coming and say, I forgot what he says.
My God,
what are we going
to that scene, the way that little boy flinches when that lightsaber opens. Oh my God, that always makes me cringe, because he seems so happy in just that second before. You came to save us, and then
what are we going to do?
Yeah, and
I mean, this accent, this British accent is kind of funny, but oh gosh, his character's there, but still, at the moment, it's funny. Sorry, at the moment, it's kind of frightening.
Moments where I tend to remember the visuals more than what they say, because of how he flinches, because it's so real in that moment,
It is. It's so to the point, right?
I think he says, "Master Skywalker, they're everywhere. What are we going to do?" And he's like,
something along that line. Yeah, and it's such a powerful moment. Now, let's go back to the Sand People for a bit, right? So back in episode 2, when Anakin was talking about how I killed them, every single one of them, and not just the men, but the women,
and the children.
Right.
Yeah.
And the children too.
At this point.
Wherever those last 4 words, and the children too. We were laughing at the line. We were laughing at the kid. It was delivered so poorly. We laughed at it. But then when you know it happened now in 3, he killed kids. You ain't laughing now, right? Think about it.
No,
but again, it's true, don't tell.
Was that Ricardo?
Anakin, the school shooter.
Oh God! Oh my God!
Well, look where you going, Jack. You're buying us. No, but no, baby.
You're not taking him seriously, right?
There's this really funny robot chicken sketch that I love, where Anakin goes in to kill the kids, and he doesn't want to deal with the fact of what he's doing, so he pictures he's in a field of sunflowers, just swinging his lightsaber and cutting all these sunflowers.
Oh God!
I think I saw that.
Then it cuts to him telling Padme there's fresh cut flowers on the dinner table.
Oh my God!
And she walks into the room and you just hear her scream. It's dark, but it's hilarious.
God, I miss robot chicken, way. And then it gets one of the saddest moments, like in Star Wars, anything. Order 66 way. Wow.
Oh God!
And like it starts off with
Order 66.
Order 66. First you see I think it's Captain or Commander Cody of the Clone pretty much betraying Obi-Wan and like just firing this big gun at him though. And well, he and the cute reptile, the cute lizard that I love, got hit, fell into the water. Oh shit! You know, I now realize that reptile died though. I think.
No animals were harmed during the filming of this film.
Uh,
Check that one.
yeah, but I mean, Obi-Wan survives though, but everybody else, wow.
All the others
And
die.
yeah, and John
All of
Williams'
them.
music for this is so sad. Like when I was watching this, like in preparation for this, I won't lie to catch a little man tears, boy,
Don't
because
forget
it's
that
just shot imagery.
we do get the awesome moment of them trying to kill Yoda and Yoda knowing it's coming. And I mean, I think he beheads all of
Yeah,
them.
Yes,
Yeah.
both of
beheads
them.
all of them.
He
Yeah.
beheads.
It's too clone. So
Right,
yes, he does.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
So,
oh
like,
my god. And we get
so remember
badass
what-
Yoda.
Remember what we were saying earlier about Dooku selling his own death with that look of betrayal?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? Okay, so what I love about Order 66, every Jedi has a moment to get that look before their own
Right.
troops gun them down. Every single one. And there's this cold element where the troops don't even, like, question the order. It's Order 66. Oh, yes, my lord. Fire. And, like,
Yes.
every
Well, it's a chip's head of programming, right?
It's like a sleeper cell
it's a sleep.
activated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a buried code, and like they hear it, it's like yes,
It's a cool,
kill
right, yeah.
Jedi.
Because the
And
recent,
every
the recent finale to Clone Wars had this, right? Where they kind of had the parallel thing with Ahsoka.
You know, the honest thing, I haven't watched those Clone Wars seasons at all. You know, like I don't know. I just always thought Jeddi's one was like the definitive one. I know this new
like-
Clone Wars came to an end, but I was like, I don't know if I should watch it.
No, the stuff is great, you know. It's just, you know, you had to take the time to watch it, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's actually
But,
Alright.
good.
but as we're on the topic of the Clone Wars, I'll be mentioning Order 66. Actually, when you
Right.
watch Revenge of the Sith, watch Clone Wars and see them expand and
Well,
explore
yeah.
all the Jedi who end up dying.
Yeah.
And then you watch Revenge of the Sith,
Oof.
oh my God, it's Kaya
Yeah.
Jondi, you know, like Plo Koon, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you-
that was
you
really
get-
sad.
You know, it's
And you get
actually
to
a different experience after having watched Clone Wars.
And you get, because like throughout Clone Wars, you get to see them bond with the clones. You get to see them like it's more than just commanding officer to soldiers. There's this almost friendship some of them form, and then, it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
it's really a sad moment.
Trust me,
It's a
Matthew,
true
quite an
betrayal.
interesting experience having watched the series and then rewatching Revenge of the Sith. It's almost like it's very different experience, especially that scene there.
Right. So, Organa is there. Sorry, Senator Organa is there. I actually forgot that he was in the movie too. And
He probably
luckily
forgot he was in the movie.
you know, and luckily he gets to escape, you know, before, you know, well, we see a youngling, well, they just say a Padawan get wiped out by some stormtroopers, right? But eventually he meets up with Yoda and Obi-Wan, and then he gets a message that he has to attend this special Senate meeting, right? So you'll get to that meeting in a bit. Yoda and Obi-Wan decide to take that advantage to sneak inside the temple, find out what's going on, right? So they do so, you know what I mean? They pick up on the code, you know what I mean? Well, the distress signal for the Jedi's to come through. And then they look at some security holograms, basically. So Obi-Wan's able to realize, oh my god, you know what I mean? Anakin did all this stuff, blah, 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 right? While all this is going on now, Anakin finally arrives at the Mustafa system, and you know he just dispatches of all of these separatist guys. And you know that he had that one, not Viceroy gun really, other one who looks like him. He's like, no, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Because you know he has that Japanese accent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
I just find that was
Yeah.
so
Guys.
funny.
With the big eyes and the weird looking face.
Are they
Yeah,
supposed to
that guy.
represent like North Koreans or something? 'Cause
Some kind of
Oh, they
Asian
have a
something.
Japanese accent, so I don't know. I just assumed they were Japanese for some reason.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
These are called,
There was
Nemoidians. That's what they're called.
Right.
Oh, okay,
What?
okay.
Okay.
I know these things.
Yeah.
Another genius edit, right? We have Yoda and Obi-Wan in the temple trying to find any survivors, and they come across a bunch of dead younglings, and Obi-Wan just says not even the younglings survived. And Yoda points out these aren't blaster marks, these are lightsaber cuts. And
Yes.
Obi-Wan says, who could have done this? Cut Anakin slaughtering the Separatist Council.
Right.
Yeah.
It is
Brilliant.
Ooh.
And I wouldn't like, Anakin get on like a boss in that scene though. He just like wiped everybody out in like about a minute. You know what I mean? I love that.
Oh,
We then get to the big session, right? This is where the burnt, scarred, well, I'm gonna call him Sidious now. You know what I mean? Delivers this speech, and as you said, Julian, Ian McDermott, though, like his performance in this movie, though, just was just on point, though. But this scene in particular was where I was like, yeah, this is the moment right here, and he's talking about the reorganization of the Republic, and this is what I love. What he says, into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society. And his audience and how the music swells up, and when Padme says, "So this is how liberty dies," with thunderous applause.
And that's the only
and that is
good thing Padme does for the entire movie. Everything else was
once again, it's political, but it works too. It totally works.
Patriot attack.
Yeah. Right. So in true Yoda fashion, he tells Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan is like, okay, where's Anakin? It's like, well, use your feelings, right? Back to what you were saying, Summer. I mean, the advice these people is get it. Use your feelings.
so cryptic.
Just use your feelings. But it's ironic though, because how he figures out where to go is that before Anakin left to go to after the Jedi Temple, he goes back to meet Padme, and then tells her, well, the Jedi are rebelling, and now I must go to the Mustafar system, yada yada yada. That's how she knew where he was. As only when Obi-Wan ran into her, though, that's where, because he tells her what went on, and this is a great line where he says, where he finds it, where he realizes she's pregnant. So he says, Anakin is the father, isn't he? I'm so sorry.
oof.
I love that. Just to the point. Like, yeah, that's all we need to know. That's all we need to know. So yeah, he says Obi-Wan found out. Sorry, what's up?
I said, no, Leo, I'm so sorry. I have to come and wash out your baby daddy, right?
That's it. So, of course, Padme, being the person that she is, she jump on she ship and head over to the Mustafar system. And, well, Obi-Wan is there. God. So it's like, yeah, well, I didn't need my feelings. I just need to talk to she, because she know where to go, right? So, thanks. And, C-3PO, who was barely there in the movie, we haven't really brought him out since we even started. Brought him up, sorry. Yeah, he tags along as well, too, just for... the people who's kind of wondering whatever happened to him. It's like, he's still there, right?
God,
protocol droid.
Yeah.
Speaking of the droids, real quick, because like R2 shows up on the planet with Anakin, and Anakin does tell him to stay with the ship, but there's an implication there that R2 has watched Anakin's massacres for the past.
True. That is true.
Or should be aware of it at least.
I mean, yeah. I know they do any whole memory wipe thing.
What?
No, that was at the end. So it's not wiped out the memory of both him and C-3PO at the end.
But the thing is, we know them. They didn't memory wipe. They didn't memory wipe.
This is what I was wondering, because it was just C-3PO that they memory wiped.
Yeah.
No, it was both of them. It was both of them at the end.
No. They don't memory wipe. They don't memory wipe R2. He specifically says protocol droids mind wipe. He doesn't say R2.
Oh, right. That's why.
I think when you look at it too, based on the entire series, if you look at these two particular droids, R2 has proven that he can keep a secret, whereas C-3PO is the dumbass that I think would just say what he should not say at the wrong time. So I see R2 as the kind of guy that you say, you know what? I think it's okay for you to know, because I don't see you getting anybody killed with this information.
And remember, not everybody can understand R2's bleeps and bloops.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Right. That's true.
Anakin is Darth Vader, bleep, bleep, bloop. Oh, isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Oh, God. He's been trying to tell them all for years.
Right. So now we're back to the Mustafar system, right? So the ship arrived. Before we get to that big moment, so Padme arrives, talks to Anakin. Anakin's all like, he's powerful now and all that kind of stuff. And, just touching on, the acting and all that kind of stuff. I won't lie though, Natalie really sure why she win an Oscar in her career and he didn't, She just outshines him as far as acting goes though. Even though dialogue-wise, it's kind of on the, kind of side of things. Like the, I don't know you anymore, Anakin. You're breaking my heart.
You're breaking my heart.
I remember the first time I heard it, I laughed, but like when I watched it, I was like, okay, it's
Nah,
the
it
dialogue.
works.
It's
It
the
works.
dialogue.
It
It's the
works.
dialogue. Yeah.
I like sappy. I like sappy things, but I will admit that whole construct of her being so distraught and watching him and crying him and like I can't go down the same road that you're going down on. It does leave something to be desired, and you kind of just be like, can we move past this? And that was how I
Actually,
felt.
And you also see the beginning of Vader's, well, I should say, not the beginning, but you see a glimpse into the future because he doesn't tell her, hey, I'm going to take you to Uncle Palpy and he's going to make everything better. He's like, I'm more powerful than he is. I can destroy him and we could rule together, you know? So
Yes.
he's already thinking of how do I get rid of this prune-faced man and rule everything
Yeah.
on my own, you know?
And it's such a Sith thing that he does. The whole
Mhm.
I've become more powerful than the Chancellor. I could
Yes.
overthrow him, and you and I can rule the galaxy. It's
And
very
she's just
reminiscent of like
head
what
the
this
whole
says.
time.
It's very reminiscent of what Darth Vader himself says to Luke at the end,
It is a
at the
throwback.
climax of Empire
Yeah.
Strikes Back.
It is
Yeah.
a throwback. Yeah.
Right. So at that moment, though, Anakin tries to force choke Padme because he sees Obi-Wan is like, oh, he told you all these things. He sent you to betray me. And I like where he comes and says, you did that yourself. And there's the dialogue between the two of them. Yes, kind of on the hammy side of things, but emotion-wise, though, even from Hayden, I was feeling it. And it's not because of the red eyes that he had, but I was really feeling that back and forth, especially with Obi-Wan, though, because you could just feel his heart is being ripped, though, where it's like, it's about democracy, you know what I mean? You're being brainwashed and all that kind of stuff. You could feel him just not understanding why he would switch so easy. And then also, too, with this whole thing about Anakin being the chosen one, it's like, dog, like, why are you doing this, right? Like, you're supposed to be smart enough to see through this bullshit. Why are you acting this way, though? You know what I mean?
And yet it still shows me the weakness. It shows me the flaws in Obi-Wan because to me it's like you are my mentor. You did not see any of the pain that I was going through. You just kept brushing it off and like telling me deal with it and whatever.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's what he does. Yeah.
And I was like, where did this come from, Anakin?
Because then you have Obi-Wan once again showing the Jedi talking about we don't deal in absolutes or something like that. That's the
that's the last line he says, I believe.
and that
before he fights
statement
out.
itself is an absolute.
Yes, it is. Only a Jedi needs, only a Sith needs an absolute.
This is why Summer likes Dark Jedi, and I wish they would introduce them to the series.
But as you're talking about the Obi-Wan Anakin back and forth, there's a line where he says, you are my brother Anakin. And I always thought it would have been interesting if Anakin had replied, I didn't need a brother, I needed a father.
Yes.
Where
That's a big point,
Interesting.
because
I
the thing
thought
is,
that would have been interesting.
this fella died. He should have trained Anakin.
Sorry,
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
Qui-Gon.
get the feeling, you do get the feeling if Qui-Gon was still around, what type of person Anakin would have turned out to be. I think it would be very interesting to see.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Qui-Gon's a lot more like Anakin. Qui-Gon's a lot more Qui-Gon's a lot less rigid.
Yes.
There's a book called Master and Apprentice that shows a very young Obi-Wan coming to be a Padawan to Qui-Gon, and you get to see that same thing you're talking about. The Anakin-ness of Qui-Gon is real because Obi-Wan could not understand some of the movements and some of the ways that he operated. He did not act like a quote-unquote true Jedi. I think Qui-Gon at one point in time had a love interest himself and all this kind of thing. So if he was alive, that might have been something.
Yeah. And then we get, in my opinion, the most epic lightsaber duel
Absolutely.
ever.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure. I
Entire
mean,
planet.
let's be honest. Let's be honest, sir. It runs out for far too long. It does. Yes,
I don't feel so.
I don't feel like that.
I was comfortable with
It
it.
shows the power of these two characters, the mastery they have, that the battle would go on like that, you know?
No, I get that, but it start off in the room. Then they go into this lava waterfall of sorts. And,
yeah,
sorry, there's a
because
platform, and then it goes onto the waterfall thing. And it's just
they
how the
wrecked
scene goes on.
Because their fighting is so intense that even though they're very evenly matched and it's going on so long, they are wrecking the facility. Like they
No,
literally
I understand that. I understand that.
lightsaber
But
cuts one of the control panels and the whole thing starts sinking into the lava.
yeah. And another thing too. This is just gripes again out to the way, right? Also, too. And this is something that a lot of people bring up is how fluid the fight choreography is. Though it doesn't have the same intensity like say Luke versus Vader in Empire Strikes Back. It's all these big,
Well,
fight choreography
but
kind of
here's the thing.
moves. You know what I mean?
For me, that's not a gripe because Luke versus Vader is much more raw in the sense that Luke hadn't finished his training. So there's a sense of almost, I'm just going to hit you with whatever I think will work in the moment. There's a finesse with Anakin and Obi-Wan. You see,
Agreed.
You see two people who probably practice against each other for a very long time. And so I loved it. I absolutely
but it's almost like an even match. Almost.
There's this one silly part where the two of them like just flailing about the lightsaber, not hitting each other.
I don't know. It's something about that. I can just watch and just be like, this is some straight up kung fu shit. This, you know what I mean?
I mean, and because the two of them so identical to each other, like because one trained the other. So that's like the purpose of that. But it still look real silly.
Yeah. Other than that, though, other than those little minor gripes, I love everything about the sequence.
Yeah.
John Williams' score for this.
Oh my god.
Wow,
OMG. The visuals for this. OMG. The moment where these lightsabers clash, I just see this this wave of lava just come, this in the background. I love that moment.
Trivia on the lava too. That's actual lava footage there because they said I think there was like Italian volcano in Italy, Mount Etna or something had actually erupted while it was happening. So they took the footage. So I guess that's why it looks so good.
Yeah.
As opposed to just CG volcanic, stuff kind of thing.
You're mentioning that Lucas loves matinee and old movies. The scene where they're swinging and swinging. I mean that's very Errol Flynn.
Right.
Adventure for Robin Hood. That's swashbuckler kind of thing. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I just love that moment though. I love how
it's even more. I would say like a lot of like, especially like how showy their fight is. It reminds me a lot of like wuxia, like Hong Kong flicks, like Crouching Tiger and Hero and things like that. And I feel like that's what's being directly like referenced. Like definitely, that's what I always think of when I think of like their fighting.
Yeah. But yeah, I really dug that scene from the first time I saw it to now. Just a little minor gripes here or there. Even Yoda gets a little decent fight as well too. Against Lord Sidious, right? I love that he used the Duel of Defeats music when things get intense. I love their duel, their lightsaber duel. First of all, like the music that they play and how it cuts back to what's going on with Anakin and Obi-Wan. I thought that was great. And then you get the Duel of Defeats where it's just merely Sidious using his powers basically to just move the chairs and just throw it at Yoda. And at that point in time, it's too much for Yoda, and he falls. And one thing I noticed is that his lightsaber falls, and then he falls as well too. But he doesn't go for the lightsaber again. He just pretty much retreats because Senator Organa is outside waiting for him, and then he jumps into his ship. Is like, into exile I must go. Failed I have. I know, like I just like. It hurt me, sorry. When I heard it the first time, it hurt me now. I imagine like if you are a big, Yoda fan, it's just like, yeah, boy. And this kind of explains why he is the way he is in, The Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's important because I think that's the fight with Sidious is the moment where Yoda, because we've been talking about how Yoda is bad at advice and the Jedi themselves are not great, right? I think the fight with Sidious is the moment when Yoda realizes we brought this on ourselves.
Yep.
We messed up. This is our fault. We have failed. I mean, he says, I have failed. I have. But I think that's the moment when he realizes that the Jedi have failed. And that's why he gives up his lightsaber and just runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And because that's why I mentioned the whole thing that he didn't go for his lightsaber. Like, why did he do that?
Exactly.
But it's like even even Yoda himself knew it. All his years of knowledge, realized that no, it's kind of too late. You know what I mean? It's done. I might as well save my life and just hope to see the Jedi rise, wink wink, before I die, than than even make an attempt to even try to take down Sidious to begin with.
But this is the thing that kind of annoys me with the Jedi, because in Phantom Menace, he just looks at the boy and he says, your future seems cloudy. But then you also come back and say something along the lines of, always in flux the future is. So you're able to, you as the Jedi Master, you're able to see varying futures and what different possibilities that could happen. You mean to tell me that you guys were so blinded by your 1,000 years of Jedi rule or whatever that you did not realize that this boy could actually be the door that will open and bring Sith control back? So when he decides to go into exile, I feel for him, but at the same point in time, it's like, dude, you all brought this on yourself from since he walked into the council at age what? How old was he? Age 8, and you didn't feel anything. You didn't. You were so what? You just, oh, it's clouded and that's it. It was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
It's one of those pride cometh before the fall type of things for them, because they definitely, they're so secretive as a group. And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that level of secrecy ever bodes well for anybody. Especially when you have people who want to learn, and then you're telling them, well, no, you're just supposed to blindly follow me and accept what I'm saying is the word of the force, that sort of thing. And then on the other side, you're meeting somebody who's telling you, no, well, I'm willing to teach you, and I'm willing to open that book of secrets to you. You're always going to fail in an instance like that. I think any organization that behaves like that is going to topple and fall eventually.
Yeah. So there's the part now where Obi-Wan jumps on this sort of like this hill basically, and it's like, well, I have the high ground, right? I always remember that. And I actually saw like a meme of it this week, anytime it's recorded here. Some meme, I think it's some COVID-19 meme or something like that, based off I have the high ground moment, right? But at the time when I saw this, right? So this is the moment where Anakin jumps in for the death blow, right? And he gets his hands and his leg chopped off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I saw it, I was like, how could you do this in one blow though? Like one swipe though? And like when I watch it over and over the years, like, okay, I could kind of see how it's possible. But like, dog, you have to be real strong, or you had to be really good with timing and fast too, as well, to be able to swipe, to be able to chop off someone's hands and leg.
Well, remember, we're talking about a laser, so at the end of the day, I think if it's a laser and you're kind of coming at me all spread eagled, it's gonna go through your arm, your leg, and whatever else is in the way.
Right.
But yeah, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, wait, that even possible? Because it caught me off guard, because I was like, all right, well, maybe it's just the hands that cut off, and then I see the leg going, and I see him like crawling, and I don't know, it's something so pitiful.
I also always thought there was a double meaning. There was a double meaning in that I have the high ground, like I'm right and you're wrong, that sort of thing. I always get that vibe from that line.
Yeah, that's actually a good observation there.
There were two things that sort of crossed my mind every time I watched that. One is the notion of peak hubris. Peak hubris, because because yes, you are, Anakin is a very good swordsman. He's a very good Jedi, but at that time when Obi-Wan says to him, don't try it, that is peak hubris, and that I think would have blinded him to some degree in terms of him getting his entire body cut off. And then very quickly, the second thing that crossed from my mind was seeing him broken and shriveled up and burnt like that. That was his descent into hell, and more or less that was him becoming the king of hell. Because when you scan to like Rogue One and you see him build the castle on Mustafar, I think it's Mustafar that he had built that whole.
That's some gothic shit.
You know, so
It is.
it's
It is.
like
It is.
it's like you've just become the king of hell, and you're descending into that reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mustafa was clearly a metaphor for hell. That was.
It
Yes.
was. It
You
was.
think it didn't have a sound?
It's very Dante's
Yeah.
Inferno.
Yeah. Seeing it, I was like, yeah, this is the equivalent of hell. You know what I mean? But yeah, just seeing him crawling though is
Oh.
just pitiful and well, it's just pitiful and sad and just frightening. Disturbing to watch actually, because you're seeing the you're seeing the skin being
That-
burnt off his face. You're seeing his eyes kind of turn from red to yellow. His hair is gone completely. Well, almost gone, I
This
should
is-
say.
This is definitely one of the moments in the movie that pushes that PG-13 so
Yes.
hard.
Yes, it
Mhm.
does.
Yes.
It does.
Oh
Especially
my,
when
'cause, like-
especially
And it's
when
almost
you
to
hear
the
him
point that
scream out in pain. You
yeah,
know?
and it's almost to the point that you think they just made that film PG-13 because of that one moment. Like, okay, we can't slap a PG for this. No, we have to give this a
No, no, no.
PG-13.
Like, can you
Because of
imagine
that one
test
moment.
audiences watching this like Star Wars movie, especially after Phantom and Attack of the Clones, and they're watching Anakin on fire with like one limb left, screaming in pain, and it's just like,
It's some horrible stuff right here.
Yeah,
we're not getting away with PG on this one, guys. I'm sorry.
yeah, you're right. And I mean, you could feel Obi-Wan's pain the way he's like,
Oh,
I loved you like a brother. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just that moment.
I
though, like,
loved you, Annie.
you were my brother, Anakin.
yeah,
Oh. And
and
John
it's
Williams'
Anakin's.
score.
Yeah, the
John
score he
Williams.
does for this way.
Because
Wow.
a few minutes ago we had big, bombastic, powerful, they're dueling, and then immediately goes to subtle, understated, very sad in like blink. Oh my god.
One of those things in that moment too is it's just that normally somebody, okay, so you're quote unquote dying and you probably have a sense of regret. How did I get here? But I never get that from him. I'm just feeling rage coming off of him as he burns, and it's just like he is so, at this point he's so gone. It's just anger and rage and no remorse for any of the choices made, other than I wish I killed you, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And say what you want about Hayden Christensen's acting, right? If you could just take one moment from the movie where it's like, yeah, he acted his ass off here, is the I hate you.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah.
That was the moment I knew why he was
hear that,
cast.
I feel like a blade is being stuck into my heart, though. It's thrust into my heart. Sorry, it is
Like,
just so painful
okay.
to hear.
For me, Anakin's killing spree, like all the bits when he's just silently mowing through first the Jedi Temple and then the Separatists, then the duel with Obi-Wan, that entire sequence, I'm sitting there going, okay, that's why he was cast. This is why he was picked to play Anakin Skywalker. This is what Lucas, it was a little bit rough to get here. We had to sit through Attack of the Clones, but this is why he was cast.
Yeah.
This is the moment.
And as you mentioned it, Claude, watching Revenge of the Sith, it feels like, well, this is a movie George always really wanted to make, and he just like, well, okay, he had to have a 1 and 2, but this is like, yeah, this is the actual story I really wanted to tell.
Yeah, I'll bring up that. I'll bring up that in the end. Well, when we get to the end and rating for this film,
it feels like Lucas, it does feel like Lucas always wanted to make 3, but then you needed 1 and 2, but 3 because he steps up his game in just about everything here. Everything that you could complain about in the first 2 is either improved or like good in this one, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, even the things that are bad about this one are not as bad as they were in previous installments.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like he's stepping up.
Yeah, totally agree. I'll just say this before I forget, though. The mere fact, well, just touch on what you said there, Julian, about this was like the one he wanted to make, but he had to make 2 first. It's funny, though, like looking back on it, right? That this is how the trilogy ends, When after rewatching this, I was like, this is how the trilogy ends. Even though, to be fair, it has a hopeful ending. Well, a new hope. Get it, right? But still, to end your trilogy like this, to end a trilogy, period. A Star Wars trilogy, I should say, sorry. Like this is like, that's ballsy, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, it
But
is.
it is.
The trilogy ends at Empire.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but at
Yeah.
least with Empire Strikes Back, it was in the middle. So it's like, okay, whew, all right, Han's still alive. Okay, cool. So we just have to wait 3 years? 3 years? Right. 3 years for Return of the Jedi. And then we will see the heroes rise again. So at least there was a sense of hope when you saw the end of Empire Strikes Back, even though you had that shocking reveal, of course, the iconic I am your father stuff, which, yeah, I imagine if you saw that back in 1980, that probably crushed you, like, oh my god, like it was. And just to touch briefly about that movie, we just look back at that movie again. The main thing about it is failure. Just characters with big intentions, with good intentions. Sorry, trying to do the right thing, especially like with Luke, for example, and ultimately failing. It's not because they did the wrong thing, or it's just that they weren't ready. It wasn't the right time. They did
Right.
not realize how
Yeah.
how powerful Vader was and how powerful his army was. So they went in, half cocked, and then, well, boom, just one thing after the next. But at least there was like, oh well, okay, now we know what to do. So in the next movie we could vanquish him. But this one here is just like, no, well, this is how Vader become who he is. That's it. The end. Take
This
from what it is
like
you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like if you think of each trilogy as a self-contained story that's all part of a larger story, this one ends with like most of the characters you've been following are dead. The love story that we were following this whole time had a very dark ending. The
Yeah.
the war that they were all fighting about actually turns out to be a sham. The Republic is now an empire. The bad guys won. But hey, these two babies might someday save everyone. But
Yeah,
like,
Hopefully.
ooh.
yeah. There's your hope, folk. Two babies. But right. So let's stick to get to those babies, right? Just to get to the end. Then. So yeah, Obi-Wan leaves now because, well, Padme is having complications now, so they leave, and then around the same time, well, afterwards, sorry, that's when Sidious shows up. He feels the disturbance. Well, sorry, he feels his well, his student needing assistance now. So he flies over to the Mustafa system. He picks him up. And by that time, he's just a burnt, he's just a charred, version of
Oh
what
god.
Mhm.
Anakin was.
He's
This really,
barbecue,
and he's barbecue right now.
and not the delicious kind.
No, sir. No, sir. And then you get this, and then you get this tragically beautiful montage where you're seeing Padme give birth, sorry,
Well,
to both
well,
Luke and
well,
Leia.
Matthew,
Um.
before you get there, there's a
Uh,
scene where he bends down to Anakin's charred flesh, and they
Yeah.
actually the lighting on him. They actually make him look lighter, and he looks like death. And it's such
yes.
He does.
a still touch, and it just goes to
Yeah.
show how much visual nuance this film has. That I don't think any of the other films actually
Yeah. Yeah.
has. Even though Empire is the best, but the kind of the depth in terms of the visuals and all the, as I said, the nuance, you don't get it.
There's a lot of visual storytelling going on here. Jules is right. It is a lot of
Oh yeah.
stuff that, and it makes it interesting, and it makes you eager to rewatch to
Yeah.
see what you missed.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's. I mean, this movie is just rich with great visuals. So, like, I was just watching,
Mhm.
even quiet moments, even loud, action-packed moments, just visually just gorgeous to look at though.
That's-
And it's one of those shows, like, now to this day, I wish one day I could see it like in IMAX, or I could see a 4K version of it one day.
Fair.
I just
They'll
saw it in
probably do that.
3D, and
They'll
that
probably
kind of
do
thing.
that.
Yeah, well,
Get
no,
enough
I know it's
years.
out on 4K. I believe it's out right now. Yeah, but I just would love to see that one shoot. That one movie out of all of them, I would love to see that in 4K. I think it will look just incredible, right? But yeah, back to the montage though. I mean, it's tragic, but at the same time, it's kind of beautiful. You're hearing this really mournful music from John Williams. It works here. I just love the back and forth to the way where it's like, Luke. I'll call it. One baby comes out, Luke. Next one, Leia, and it's, well, in the background of all that, no, you have the medical droid who's saying we don't know what's wrong, but it just seems like she's lost the will to live. At the
I
time when I
just
saw it, I hated that. So I
I
was like,
still
okay,
hate
you're
it.
really
I still
you're really
I
gonna
hate it
die. You're
because
really gonna die from a broken heart. But then
it
when I watch
just
it now, and because it's the whole, it's tragic fiction, it's tragic fantasy. It's just like
Yeah, it's like
I
it's
I, I,
nothing.
I kind of
it
see it,
no,
kind
but
of
here's the thing. Here's the
see it
thing for
happening.
me. It's one of the weak points to me in the sense that it takes away from Padme's strength. Like I said, I mean,
Agreed,
remember,
agreed.
I'm watching this with a female perspective,
Of course.
and
Fair.
one of the reasons Empire just jump into Empire Strikes Back, that Leia is so amazing in that she's commanding an entire army.
Yes.
People are looking to her for advice and on what to do. There's that wonderful scene where uh both Han and Luke are out there in that snowstorm, but they have to close the blast doors. And she has to think about the many instead of the few. And she does it. She makes the right decision, even though, these are two people that she loves. So you take that now and you bring me Padme, who is dying of a broken heart. Woman, you just gave birth to two children. You have two children to live for. And one of the things I thought, like, I love the visual back and forth of Vader being born. And I felt like
Yes.
it could have been better written if they had maybe hinted to the fact that maybe Vader was pulling from her life force or something. We
Right.
will see. It's kind of like what happens with, sorry to mention this awful movie, but Rise of Skywalker. In that,
That moment,
I
into that with
that
Kylo
moment,
and Rey. No,
right?
sorry,
And I
with
felt like
with Kylo and Leia. Yeah.
Kylo and Leia. And how one of the ways I felt they could have fixed that is kind of like Leia giving up her life force to save her son. In that because we see Vader, we see where he's being born, we see him take his first breath as Padme takes her last, and it just would have been kind of epic to me if in
Yeah.
his final act of pure Vaderness, he was draining her to get to that life force kind of thing. Something like that would have worked better for
Yeah.
me
See,
than
that would.
I'm
I,
dying of
I
a broken
yeah.
heart. I've lost my will to live.
Yeah, yeah.
Or even a simple thing, when he choked her, it left something where she was dying, something like that. But what I
Yeah,
also would have liked is, where the hell did she get the names Luke and Leia from? I mean, there's no reference to it in
that's true.
either of the three movies. She pulls this out of a hat. He's like, okay,
And
Luke.
it's,
Leia.
and
So
it's
I'm
very
thinking,
That's a good point. That's a good
it's
point.
very
yeah. So I'm
normal
thinking,
names.
yeah.
It's very normal names considering it's a world where people have names like Anakin and Padme.
Like
So what
hell,
I'm thinking, what they should have
Anakin's
done.
mom's name is Shmi.
Shmi.
Like
Yeah.
That's an awful name. But I'm thinking, why we wasted so much time in Attack of the Clones? Why not have a moment where she's telling Anakin some parable about Naboo, and these
Yes.
two lovers named Luke and Leia, and they got lost and they went to the moon or blah blah blah, some nonsense. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, that is a
that's true.
callback to
That would
that.
have tied that in really nice. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, because we had that callback when we see her body with the little wood thing he carved for. It's like, okay, well, yeah, in death, but she still love him, whatever. So that would have been
Yes.
a callback as well there too. But Luke Leia, wherever the hell that come from.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna die in like about a minute because I've lost a will to live. So okay, all right, Luke. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna call you Leah. All right, cool. There we go. And I die.
It's a wonder she didn't
George
just
lost his
kind
will
of
to write.
associate and just start calling random stuff that was in the room.
You know. But yeah, I mean, in retrospect, it is one of those things where it's like, George, why do? Like, you could have just think about it a little bit more. She died of a broken heart, but
This is where we get men writing women. I think that's
yeah,
what happened there. That's a man writing a woman, and that is what the best you could come up with. Well, she died of a broken heart because the love of her life did something stupid.
yeah,
A woman would not have written it that way.
that's the thing.
I always felt like if Sidious might have had something, was playing something in the background. It was never
Right.
explained or anything like that.
Yeah.
Huh.
That even
But
that makes
that
more
one, because he's
sense.
been
Yeah.
pulling
That
everybody's strings.
Right, right. So I was gonna say though, like with the original trilogy, right? It always felt like it was myths. You know what I mean? And because those three films came out before the internet, it's like, all right, well, it's not like we could go back now and be like, George, why you do this for? This is stupid, blah blah blah. We kind of just accepted these stories as just part of our culture, right? So
right.
watching the original trilogy is just like you're just reading. It's almost like you're reading some Greek or Roman myth now. But with this one here, with the prequel trilogy, it just felt like he was trying to create a myth, but he just added all these things where you could kind of go on some on some forum or some website and be like George, this is crap. Why you do this for, right? With the third one here, with episode 3, it's almost like he was going back to, okay, this is myth that I'm creating here. So even that whole she died of a broken heart thing has a kind of a mythical thing about it too, but at the same time, because of what we know about just great storytelling and just common sense, period, is one of those things where it's like, okay, I could accept it as, well, this is the fate because this is how it was meant to be. But still, it's just like, nah, just rewrite that scene. Just a little rewrite. That's all. Fix it up. That's all.
Well, even like here's an even simpler way to fix it, right? Don't include the line where she's dying of a broken heart. Like, literally, she's in later stages of pregnancy. She's been going through a lot. He almost killed her. If she just died in childbirth, you wouldn't even need to explain it.
True.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
very
you.
true.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even need to say she died of a broken heart. We don't know why for reasons we don't understand, we're losing her. You didn't even need that. He added a layer of complication we didn't really need.
Exactly.
That's very true. Yeah.
But once again, Lucas has to tell the audience everything. That was like I said, that's the Achilles heel of this trilogy here.
Because leading up, I mean, we got so much beautiful storytelling. We get so much complexity in the acting, and not maybe with all the dialogue, but with the acting itself. And so for you to come now and dumb it down for your audiences, because you feel like you have to give an explanation as to why she died. Come on, all this time you're telling us we're so smart, and now you're telling us, okay, no, I need to explain this to you.
But do we think though that it might be a collaborative issue with Uncle George? Because I think about like Empire, and I think it's Return. He had Lawrence Kasdan, who was on the writing team, whereas with this, he was just all himself. It was just
we all know all George is a bit much. You never go full George.
Don't go full George.
The only time full George worked was New Hope, and even then, there's an argument to be made about whether New Hope is the best of the original trilogy or not, and he had a lot of filters for New Hope as well. But that was one he wrote and directed. But then with both Empire and Return, other people directed, and his scripts were rewritten by Kasdan, and then with prequels, writing and directing. Although, to his credit, apparently there was a rumor going around that he did approach people like Ron Howard or Spielberg to direct the prequels while he wrote, but they were like, nah, this is yours. You should write and direct. You're George Lucas.
Yeah, this is your baby. I mean, I understand. Yeah. Right. I'll never forget though the first time when I saw when I heard Vader just do the the entire cinema. Well, the entire cinema when I was there just erupted. I erupted. I got up. I just did the we are not worthy bow. I was like, yes, Vader is here, right? And then you heard James Earl Jones's voice. I was like, yes, this is what we're talking about. But then we get, admittedly, a cringeworthy moment. No! Sorry, I did it wrong. No! Once again, this is Lucas having to tell people this is how Anakin is feeling now. But, I mean...
No, but
come on.
There's a couple things there that I really like, though. I like, when he takes his first breath, we see this, like the smoke, the fog comes up. I love that he's a bit awkward in his suit, like he doesn't quite know how to walk in it.
First step, it's kind of awkward.
And I do love, I think when he screams out, he starts to like crush the metal in the room with the force.
Yeah.
But the icing on the cake is the look on Sidious's face. He's almost in glee, like I could see him rubbing his hands together, that kind of thing. So, I could
But the
see
thing
a
is just
prepared scream.
yeah. But the thing is, imagine that scene with him saying nothing. Just
Thank
imagine just
you.
him.
True,
That would
true,
have been
Fair
true,
even
enough.
20 times more powerful. I mean,
true,
that,
true.
look, take Godfather Part 3, the silent scream at the end, at the climax there,
Yes,
where
yes,
you
yes.
just
Yeah,
see him.
yeah.
Uh, it would have been so much better, but no. Again, George has his yes, he's in
Yeah.
terrible anguish, so he has to say no.
He's very
And that
cartoon
is
villain.
We
nothing
get
that
that.
Vito would do.
We get that by the stuff mashing up and just the body movement. That's all you needed to do. No,
That's
It's
true.
like
Yeah, I see
it's
that.
like
I see that.
oh, definitely. Although it just feels like Lucas needs Anakin to get like one last emo moment out before he becomes the badass we know from the original trilogy. Like it's gotta
You're right. Yeah,
he's gotta
that's
get that
exactly
last
the reason. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
but
But it has
the evil moment is kind of silly. You know?
That's
It
exactly
is
it's very cartoon
it
for me though.
spoils
ridiculous.
yeah,
Especially
it just
since
spoils such a powerful moment. It just does.
especially since like when you think about it in the original trilogy, Vader never even raised his voice. The only time he got really mad was in New Hope because they were in orbit of Tatooine and he kind of hates Tatooine, where he's like, Commander, tear the ship apart till you find those plans. Bring me the
Yeah.
passengers. I want them
Yeah.
alive. That's the one time in the whole trilogy he like raises his voice. And then Revenge of the Sith, he's got that big no moment. It's
It's just really really bad, though. But I mean, and it's just such a great moment. It just ends with no. But anyway, right? So let's rush into the end here. So basically, Senator Organa offers to adopt Leia. Obi-Wan is given Luke, so he's gonna take him to Tatooine and watch over him, quote unquote. Yoda comes through. He offers to train Obi-Wan, basically to communicate with Qui-Gon Jinn, right? Who apparently learned the path to immortality because he left the forces netherworld. I was like, okay, well, all right. This is where the whole Force Ghost thing comes up, later on with the original trilogy, right?
right.
And then yes, C-3PO, sorry, gets his protocol wiped, and I just love that closes shot of him like, oh no, you know what I mean? And then we get this, this oh no, right? And then we get this really, really beautiful, really poignant scene. This would be Padme's funeral, right? Jar Jar's
Oh,
there, you know what I mean? That one blubbery guy from Phantom Menace, I forgot his name, was there. I believe it is. I
Boss
believe it's him.
Nass.
It's Boss
Boss
Nass.
Nass. Played by
What was it him? I think so.
Yeah,
it was
him, yeah.
Boss Nass, played by British theater film legend Brian Blessed. Let us never forget.
I didn't even know that was
I
Brian
didn't even know
Blessed.
that.
That was
Wow.
Brian Blessed playing Boss Nass, which is hilarious.
Yeah, but I love the moment though. I love that scene though. I love the lighting in it, the colors that they use, that sort of purplish, sort of dark
Oh, yeah.
purplish tone that they have, but sort of grayish at the same time too. It just looks incredible, right? Yeah, points for visuals. And I just love how it, the following scene basically is the early stages of the Death Star, and you see in
Yes.
true
Yeah,
Darth
yeah.
Vader format, Darth Vader standing up, Sidious right next to him, just looking ahead, looking
Yes.
through that window.
Looking
Perfect.
towards the future.
Looking towards the future. Perfect way to end off their story. I love that, right? And then
Tarkin is there as well too. We can't forget Tarkin.
Yeah, Moff
Yeah.
Tarkin walks off.
Moff Tarkin.
yes, yeah. You're right, you're right. And then you get the little bit of hope in the end, man. Well, it kind of starts off with Senator Organa and his wife taking care of Leia, and then back then you go to Tatooine basically, and you hear Luke's theme, right? And
Leia definitely got the better end of that deal because
I know, right? Because she
Oh,
get to
man,
live,
yeah.
she just get to live in royalty basically,
and Luke
and
gets
Luke
to
is
live with
just
sand everywhere.
In
yes,
the back,
son,
in the back
just gotta be a
of the
farm boy.
Well, guys, like they know that they know how much Anakin hates sand, so it's the last place he'll think to
That
look
is
for Luke.
true.
So
That
like,
is true.
That is true. Yeah, you're
Then,
yeah. Come to
then
think
you
of
would
it,
think they would send Leia somewhere where she would be less in the spotlight. I should say. I mean, she's the daughter now of a senator. It's like, why not send her somewhere like that too? But it's okay. It's okay. And it all
yeah.
works itself out in the end.
It does. And hearing Luke's team, seeing that that sunrise,
Tatooine sunset.
sunsets. Yes, that
double
sunset. Sorry. Yeah, that was just like a beautiful way to end the movie. It was just like, yes, folks, I know this is the ending trilogy here, but hey, look at the bright side. We have a new hope. Haha,
We have
there we
a
go.
new hope.
Or we should say
Dun, dun, dun.
we have Solo, and then we have Rogue One, and then we have a new hope. So hey,
I try not to
I
think
freaking
about
love
Solo.
Rogue
I'm
One.
sorry.
yeah, I know some of you love Rogue One. I really need to rewatch this. Rewatch that movie.
It's
I
really
enjoyed it a
I
lot,
love
but I
Rogue
need to
One.
rewatch
it
it.
it
Yeah,
it rewards rewatching. Rogue One does. It really does.
nice.
Does.
Solo,
And I
on the
will
other
say,
hand, I only saw Solo once. I saw Rogue One twice, but it was Solo, so I don't
I've
know.
seen Solo, I think twice or at least once. I have that. I have that one on DVD because that was just a good time at the movies. I was one of the few people that saw that one in theaters.
I saw it in
I
Same.
saw
theaters
it
too.
in theaters
Same.
as well, but for me, Solo was a case of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
You should.
You know,
Exactly.
I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think I come out of it like, well, I didn't need this. You know.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt when I saw
Yeah,
that.
necessary.
Yeah.
The
Completely.
soundtrack for Solo is good though. The soundtrack for Solo is
It
quite
is.
vibes.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love in particular for Solo the theme for Enfys Nest. In particular, like it's kind of this like kind of Native American sounding chanting
Mhm.
thing going on with like their usual orchestral score. It's really cool.
All right. I really should check out that soundtrack too. All
Yeah.
right. So last words and rating on Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Right. As I said at the very beginning here, this to me is the license to kill of the Star Wars franchise here, because not only was it slapped with a PG-13 rating, but this was here. This was where, sorry, it stopped being, or at least just to see this for people who probably just look at these things as just dumb, childish, escapist fun. This was a moment where it just got serious. And people just really started to get aware of it. You know what I mean? This was, to me, in my opinion, this was where the franchise stepped itself up. This is where the bar was raised. This is where it was like, look, it's 2005, guys. We can't be doing the whole 80s stuff again. Even though J.J. Abrams kind of, did it.
Yeah.
But, but
No,
anyway,
we're not talking about that.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, but this was one where they actually took a risk here. It was just like, look, this is the story we had to tell. This is the only way we could tell it. Some people may not like certain things about it, they might be freaked out by it, they might be terrified by certain things, but this is the story that we had to tell, because if it wasn't for this, then hey, the Darth Vader character that we know and love, we wouldn't know his backstory if it isn't for this thread. So I
Yeah.
mean, I have to applaud Lucas, even though he does fumble with the dialogue, which he has with the last two films. At least he stepped up his game. I mean, visual wise, it is just, I don't know, just astounding to behold. John Williams just knocked it out the park with his music. I thought that this is probably one of the best musical scores I ever heard from him. Period. I just love the music for this so much. Everybody came through, did what they have to do. Yes, I wish I got more out of Natalie Portman. I really would did. He and Christensen even come true, and even now me
Yeah.
convinced that yes, I could see his transformation. It's not just, oh, I need to save Padme, so yeah, sign me up. There was this deeper political aspect about it too, and just the mere fact that it touched on it and made it sensible and made it sound even darker, threatening, made it work though. In retrospect, this to me is like what the season 5 finale of Game of Thrones was. That moment where it just kind of shocked people, like, oh, this is how far they went. I know you're not even too sure if you want to see Star Wars after this, but look at where we at now. Now we not only do we have PG-13 Star Wars films going forward, with the exception of the Clone Wars movie that came out years ago, but now, hey, this is where the bar was set. So now we just have to step things up even higher, with the franchise. Calling it the best of the trilogy is not really saying much though, but I would go as far as saying that yeah, this is easily one of the best Star Wars movies out there, probably one of the most underrated out there, and it's just because of what we got with the previous two movies. But I would say that if you didn't really care for those two movies, really give this one a look. You may not like everything about it, but you have to applaud the effort that was put into this, not just visually, but storytelling and music wise, just everything, and just we're gonna be hard PG-13 and all in your face with it. And yeah, I mean, Star Wars hasn't been the same since then. So that in itself should be like, yeah, this is why we should kind of appreciate this film now. So yeah, not much more I could say rated wise. I'm going to give this a very, very light 4.5 out of 5. Yes, I'm going high with this one here, folks. This is one of the best Star Wars movies I've ever seen personally. And last thing I would say though, I would say like surprisingly, it has held up. I mean, over the past 15 years. Yes, we could still laugh at the dialogue and the little hammy acting ever so often. But yeah, just as far as everything else, story, visuals, and just darkness and just the balls to be like, yes, this is what we're going for. So yeah, very, very light 4.5 out of 5. Strongly recommend Revenge of the Sith. Summer, last thoughts and rating on Revenge of the Sith.
Well, I would say I think it's better to stick the landing. And I think that's what they did here. Because maybe if Rise of Skywalker had stuck the landing, you'd have a better memory of that final trilogy.
Yeah.
So
Can I
even
just
though,
say
yeah,
one thing quickly? One thing before I forget.
sure.
As you say, Rise of Skywalker, I felt like looking at this movie now that Ryan Johnson perhaps looked at this film, Revenge of the Sith, and Empire Strikes Back, and that was how he was able to craft The Last Jedi, which is still the best movie in this new trilogy here. Yes, you can fight me now for it, but yes, it is the
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Woo!
What?
No, and I definitely agree with you in terms of it's underrated and it deserves more love than it got. I think it was stained by the first two films, so people just wanted to write it off as a bad trilogy overall, but it's not. One of the aspects of this I absolutely love in rewatching it is you were talking about mythology, and while I see that, I more see the Shakespearean aspects of it,
Right,
especially
right.
when it came to Ian McDermott's his performance. In watching this, I would think of like stuff like Macbeth and Othello, and
Yes.
the really darker Shakespearean plays that I love. That have those tragic endings to them. So I would give this a strong 8 out of 10.
Nice.
It definitely, if you watch it with a less prejudiced eye and you're willing to be objective, it is one of the best of the entire franchise, and it deserves a little more respect than it gets, even with its flaws, because blockbusters of this level will always have flaws. We'll always have fans that are fighting on, no, I don't like this, yes, I love that. But if you treat it with an objective eye, I think you can appreciate how much work went into this to course correct. And like I said, I think they stick the landing.
Right. Unfortunately, Ricardo couldn't, be here to give his last words. The tablet, died basically. But shout out to Ricardo though. Thanks for coming through. Tracy, what's your last words and rating on Revenge of the Sith?
Well, okay. For me, this is how I operate where I can rewatch a thing. If I have to fast forward a great deal of scenes, I don't need that in my life.
Mm,
Um,
that's
so
true.
so
That's a
like
good one.
if okay, so for Phantom Menace, I could go through a certain part, then I'm like, no, I have to fast forward. And Attack of the Clones, like I said, that is very Anakin being creepy. Don't look at me like that. I have to fast forward a great deal. But this film, I could actually sit down and watch it from beginning to credit roll and
Yes.
not,
Yeah.
that kind of vibe. I,
Yeah.
the things that I got out of it for me, it's like, in terms of Uncle George doing this prequel, he tried to bring a lot more, in my opinion, a lot more science into spirituality, and I didn't need that. The force is the force. I don't need to know about midichlorians. I don't need to
Yeah.
know about how much blood count you need to have in order to access the force. So, Revenge of the Sith did away with all of that and gave me something that felt more spiritual, felt more, okay, this is tied more to what I know Star Wars is or should be. For me, I kind of give it a B plus or a 7 out of 10, because it was a fulfilling movie. There are parts of it that I'm not really a big fan of. Like, for example, I can tell you when Mace Windu looks around and says, "A Sith Lord," and there's something
Oh yeah,
about
yeah,
that
yeah.
that just I
there's little
just
questionable moments
just
with
like, oh my God, yeah.
Sammy's acting. Admittedly, it's true.
I just I like, but if you can move past some of these things, I agree with Summer. It really is a full movie. It is a wholesome movie. I actually would place this above not just the other two, but yes, as much as I am in the minority, I enjoyed Rise of Skywalker, but this goes above Rise of Skywalker. So that says a lot. So I'm gonna give it a 7, B plus 7 kind of vibe.
All right. Claude, last words and rating on Revenge of the Sith.
So oh god. So like I'm very thankful that I got to see this the way I did. So I didn't get the other two prequels, so I didn't come into this with any kind of expectations or preconceptions, and I didn't have the internet, so I didn't come any kind of cynicism. So it was the closest I think to getting to look at it objectively, and I'm really grateful for
Right.
that, because this movie really holds up. Like if you accept that this is a very mythological, very operatic, theatrical, gothic tragedy, and Shakespearean, like Summer was saying, like if you accept all that, this is not only, it's so well told, it's so moody, it's so tragic, it pushes that PG-13 hard. It never gets gratuitous, I don't think, but it does push that PG-13 very hard in a way that I know as a kid I appreciated. And then as an adult, who does film myself, there's a lot about this movie that I study, like whether it's cinematography, editing. Editing is a huge thing I study this film for in particular.
Right.
It's got problems. It definitely, like, if Lucas had only had like someone to like sand some of the rough edges, it would be perfect. But I would also push back that as far as this kind of like darker operatic blockbuster, this is a hard movie for me to even think of other, outside of Star Wars, other films I can compare it to, right? I'm like, maybe I'm kind of getting similar vibes from what I've seen so far of Denis Villeneuve's Dune that comes out, but
Oh.
honestly, there's not a lot of other blockbusters I can compare it to, and I love it for that. And it does do something new with Star Wars. One of the reasons I love Last Jedi is that it feels like kind of the child of Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith in a lot of ways. There's a lot of DNA connecting those two films to make Last Jedi. So, and in a series of 11 films and counting, and 4 series, 5. I keep forgetting how many series there are. But with that, this is still easily top 5 for me.
Nice.
I would give it, if I'm being honest with myself, I give it a 9 out of 10, because it gets so close to perfection. It trips, but it gets pretty damn close. There are days when I'm in a less of a great mood. I'm on IMDb and I'll bump it down to an 8, but then I'll watch it and I'll be like, okay, 9. I can't. But like, 9 out of 10. If you go into this looking at it objectively, there's a lot that is held up. There's a lot to recommend. There's a lot that this film does different that I don't see in other blockbusters. I adore this movie. Yes.
Nice.
Perfect.
Julien, last words and rating on Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. Well, what more to say? Yeah, I love Revenge of the Sith. I'm a diehard defender of it. I actually rate Revenge of the Sith higher than Return of the Jedi. I know a lot of people, it's blasphemy to a lot of people, but yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, really, I do. Yeah. I mean, when we Return of the Jedi, at some point we can discuss that. But
Right.
yeah, it is a strong movie. It is an iconic movie. I think in terms of just overall movies, I think Empire is a better movie. But Revenge of the Sith is a deeper movie, and it's a deeper
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
And some of the imagery that we get in this movie, you don't get it in any movie. I mean, definitely not a blockbuster, but just generally,
Right.
some
Yes.
beautiful moving imagery. And as we talk about the visual storytelling, I mean, if, as I said, as Claude said, if only George had somebody to, stand off the edges, I mean, yeah, this movie, it would have been perfect. Just a few little, as I said, the stuff with Padme, some of the dialogue, just some tiny little tweaks, and it could have been a beautiful, perfect sci-fi blockbuster tragedy. That's something unseen and unheard of. So I absolutely love it. I will defend it and continue to defend it to this day. And I give it a 8.5 out of 10.
Nice. So Tracy, what we do before the show wraps up is, this is your chance to let people know where they could find you online. So yeah, Tracy, where can we find you online? Good sir.
You can find me on Instagram as We Are Tracy. You can find me on YouTube as Tracy Hutchings. That's where my reviews are and most of my general weird thoughts.
All right. Summer, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Facebook at Movie Junkies Continued. And you can find me on YouTube as Movie Junkie for Life. I'm also on Stardust at Movie Junkies.
All right. Julien, where can we find you online?
Okay, you can find me. My site is redmangoreviews.com. I am also on Facebook at Movieville. And you can find me on Instagram at redmanwriter.
All right. Claude, where can we find you online?
You can find me at CC_the_Martian on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and also Twitter. I have a couple of my own short films and other productions up on my YouTube channel. I've been toying with the idea of film criticism. I don't know. And Spotify. I have a lot of playlists. I have so many. Yes.
Nice. In my case, I'm on Twitter. You could find me at Bear Beat Bailey. On Instagram, Bears Beats and Bailey, where I also do music reviews, just little albums and just little thoughts on it. On Facebook, just look for my name, Matthew Bailey, along with A Legally Black Blog official fan base, where you find a link to this podcast as well as the ones that I've done, with Ricardo, who isn't here right now, True Bears Beats and Bailey, and of course, Retrospect Reviews. So yeah, that's our look back at Revenge of the Sith. The underrated classic, I would say, of the Star Wars series. So feel free to let us know what you thought about the movie. Do you think it still holds up, or you think it's just it's just the best because it's the best, right? And with this along with Empire Strikes Back, hitting their specific anniversaries, I really want to see how people, how today's filmmakers or the filmmakers of tomorrow, if you want to call it that, will look back at these particular films. So I have a feeling they'll look more towards Empire, but I think that if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a fan of sci-fi and just mythic storytelling as a whole, I think it should really give Revenge of the Sith a look, man, and give it the praise that I think it deserves, man.
There's a lot to learn from it.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. There's
very
a lot.
much so.
There's a lot. Yeah. And that's pretty much about it. So once again, guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever this is. This was Matthew Bailey and Tracy Hutchings.
Hi, and good night.
Julien Neaves.
All right, bye-bye, guys.
Sommerleigh Pollonais.
Until the next one, guys.
And Claude Lilford.
Live long and wait, no, wrong one. May the force be with you.
Always. And this was another episode of Retrospect Review. So the next one, take care, stay safe out and in, and may the force be with you, man. Always.
And
Peace.
also with you.
Yes, and also with you. Also with you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I get to that.
Seriously, when I'm in church, I am worried I'm gonna get strike down because whenever they say that is what jumps into my head.
Summer, I wear my Star Wars things to church or whenever they have love and that kind of stuff. So don't worry, we'll both get.
All right, folks, I gotta run. Catch you all next time.
Guys.